Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys had a great weekend so far. Today is Sunday, 1400 hours Eastern time. We do have an international audience, so I'm happy you guys are joining me today. Wow, this is going to be a very interesting show. I've been working so hard on this show. It almost got a little bit overwhelming simply because I had to do the research while at the same time doing the work, doing the work that pays the bills, right? And what I discovered is so much information. It's almost mind-boggling. Just little tidbits that could go both ways on the topic of the show today. But what I decided to do is we're going to do a small presentation on the pros and cons to the theory. Once again, the theory, because this particular topic is very polarizing for the audience, very polarizing for people who follow this true crime tragedy of the killing and the essay of this beautiful little girl by this monster, Stephen Stearns. And the reason why it's so polarizing is I guess some people just don't want to talk about this, right? They just feel like, well, she's gone. I mean, he took her life. Well, what worse could it be, whether it happened or it didn't? And that's, in my opinion, not what we do in true crime. What we do in true crime is we seek out the facts, right? We try and piece the puzzles together because we're not a part of those investigations. We're not on the ground. We're not in those meeting rooms with the county attorneys and the district attorneys. We're not in those powwows where investigators and detectives put their brains together and try and figure out what the next investigative step is. We don't have all that information. So part of true crime is what are the facts? And the other part of what makes true crime so addictive to an audience is what are the theories? And I think people forget that the theory is just as important in this community as the facts, so long as everybody understands what is theory, what is facts. So today, we're going to be talking about the theory of what if she was pregnant. Why does that matter? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the additional charges that Stephen Stearns would face if, in fact, Maddie was pregnant. We're going to talk about why it doesn't make sense that Maddie would be pregnant. We're going to look at both sides. We're going to look at the timeline. Does that make sense? Can somebody be pregnant between this time and that time? We'll talk about these things. And then we're going to open up the show for everybody to call in. We're going to make this a call-in show, all right? And so I got to lay the ground rules for the call-in show, because we're going to get a lot of people who genuinely want to speak about their theories of what they believe happened. And your theory doesn't just have to lie with whether she was pregnant or not. It could be a different theory, because really, ultimately, for me, the reason why I believe that there's a possibility that she was pregnant is not just from the evidence that I'm seeing, that I'm looking through it with my deductive eyes and believing that it's a possibility, but also because it's a good motive. And that's another big thing in true crime, that we're always looking for motive. Why did the person do the crime? Why did they take away such a precious person? And not even just Maddie, but all the other precious people that we lose due to the evil of men. So if you have another theory as to why you think Stephen Stearns had a motive to do what he did, I'd like to hear about it. But your theories and your motives, your ideas, they have to be portrayed in, or at least relayed to me and the audience in a respectful way. And if you are listening and you hear somebody's theory, whether it be my theory or another caller's theory, and you decide to call in to counteract that theory or to add on to it, you have to do that in a respectful way. We will not tolerate trolling. We will not tolerate anybody who's disrespectful or condescending who may call up the channel. We will simply hang up on you. We will block you, and we will keep it moving. We're not going to debate you. We're not going to argue. You're not going to get a rise out of a person who gets paid for a living to talk to bad people, because it won't be the first time, and it certainly won't be the last time that somebody is condescending or disrespectful. So keep that in mind. So if you enjoy watching the Strategic Eyes show, Don't let this call be the last time that you have access to the show because you could not be respectful. That being said, our moderator is going to be busy, making sure that we keep the chat a safe place for people to share ideas. Whether they are for or against, doesn't matter. We want to hear it so long as it's done respectfully. And I think it's going to be a great show. So let me go over here to this screen and see who's in the building. Just get a little metrics on what's happening here. And say what up to some beautiful people who are in the building. We got a few members and who are in the building, new members that is, and we have some old members as well. So appreciate you guys for joining the membership. These folks joined before we actually got started with the show, so that's pretty cool that they decided to become a member. The call-in show is going to be 518-639-6283. Do not call until I open up the lines. If you do, I will just have to reject the call. When I tell you guys, hey, it's time for the call-ins, feel free to call in. Let's get this rocking and rolling. Let's talk. But don't call too early, all right? Because we'll be in the middle of a show. We have Live for Now in the building. What's happening? Live for Now says, if she was pregnant, wouldn't the charges be different? Yes, but the question is when. And I want to drop two things before we get started. And it's of course in the vein of this. I want to correct myself. And then we'll just get started. We'll shout out the chat a little bit later. I don't want to take too much time on that. I want to jump into the topic at hand. But this is very, very important, what I want to talk to you guys about. Number one, I don't have a shirt and tie because my dryer broke. And I got to fix it. I'm waiting for the parts. I do all the repairs myself. They're very easy to fix. I don't want to wear a dress shirt because I don't know if I'll be able to fix it. And I'm going to need my dress shirts for work. So I don't want to dirty anything. I have to go to a laundromat. But that's not what I wanted to tell you. So in a previous show, I said that I'm frustrated that Jen Soto has not been criminally charged yet. That Jen Soto has not been criminally charged yet for what I believe is her role in the abuse of Maddie. And for me, that role primarily centers around negligence. Until I have evidence that there's something else, I believe that she was a negligent parent. I need to correct myself, guys. I tell you guys all the time that when I talk about Jen Soto, I am very biased. I tell you to take what I say about Jen Soto with a grain of salt because there is true anger and bias when I think about her, because I think she was the one who was supposed to protect Maddie and she failed Maddie the most. So my emotions, and I try my best to keep my emotions out of my commentary, but it happens because I'm human. My emotion said that it's taking too long and she's probably not going to be charged. That is not true, ladies and gentlemen. It's not true. I should have known better than to share that with you, my audience, who are looking for my expertise, because I know better, because I have cases where we got the person dead to rights and the county attorney is like, okay, I'm going to charge this person, but they're taking their time. I got one where I got DNA, I got video, I got witnesses, I got everything that proved that this guy sexually abused this woman, but the county attorney's like, I'm almost ready to take this to a grand jury. We're going to lock this guy up. He's going to look at 20 years, but I need to do these couple more interviews first before we go. These are ancillary interviews that they want me to go out and do, that I'm going to do, where people didn't even witness it. They were just in the area at the time, seeing them walking by, see them go here, see them go there. They just want that documented before we move forward. It's been a year. It's been a year. And based off of my conversations and based off of what I know in the case, I know that once we go to the grand jury, this guy's going to be facing 20 years in prison. So the fact that they have not charged Jen Soto, 5-6 months, means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They can still charge her. They could still lock her up. They're just doing their due diligence. There are things that I and you are not privy to. All we're privy to is what we get from Plunder and the docket and these other people who are spending hundreds of dollars and probably thousands of dollars by now foiling the court documents. All we have is what they decide to give us. That's all we have. We have nothing else. And the documents that law enforcement and the county attorney decides they don't want to give, we don't have that. We don't have the autopsy, which ties into the topic of this show. There's no autopsy that we have seen. They've already released a press conference and a statement saying, according to this law, they cited the law, we will not be releasing the autopsy because she's a juvenile. So that also ties in with the topic of the show. We don't know whether she was or was not pregnant because we can't see the autopsy. Only the autopsy report would say that. So that's 50-50 right there. Before we even dive into the nitty gritty, 50-50 right there. We don't know because we haven't seen it. So I retract that statement, ladies and gentlemen. I retract the statement. Jen Soto absolutely still can be charged and probably will be charged. And there's no rush in the eyes of the district attorney. For those of you who believe that Stephen Stearns is going to be in court in 2024, you're an amateur. This is a hobby for you. This is fun. This is a pastime. While you're washing the dishes, you're listening to the Strategic Eyes show and other shows. Because if you know anything about the criminal justice system, especially for the complexity and the notoriety and the seriousness of this case, you would know Stephen Stearns is not going to step foot in a courtroom before a jury in 2024. That's going to happen in 2025. And there is no rush for that district attorney to charge Jen Soto. Why? It's the same reason like the case I'm currently sitting on. The person in my case, and of course I have to be very, very, very vague, which I have been. I absolutely have been. That person is not a threat to society. That person, their action was limited to the victim and the circumstances that they found themselves in with that victim. And I'll simply say it involves intoxication. It always does. That person is not, this subject is not going to go out there and do this to somebody else, especially now that he knows that we're after him because he has secured an attorney. We've been in contact with him and his attorney. So he knows he's under investigation. So there's no rush because he's not a threat to society. He was just a threat to that one person. Jen Soto is not a threat to society. She's not going to go out there and hurt any other children. So there's no rush. You can take your time and do a thorough investigation. I had another one where we had enough to charge a person with rape. We did. But the toxicology, because of a backlog, took 8 months for us to get that toxicology. Guess what? When we got the toxicology, we upgraded the charges. We charged with the person with the fact that they had drugged that individual. We upgraded it. All of that is being said because of two things. Number one, at any time, they can upgrade and add charges to Stephen Stearns before trial. At any time. They can do an amendment, re-indict him, and add charges before they go to trial. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, no, it's before they go to trial. At any time, until the statute of limitations is up, whatever the statute of limitations may be in Florida, I don't know, I got to look that up, they can charge Jen Soto. They could, I'm pretty sure for a felony, the statute of limitation at minimum has to be at least 4 years. I've never seen a state with less than 4 years of statute of limitations for felonies. They could charge her 3 years from now. They could charge her 4 years from now for being a negligent parent against Madeline Soto. We don't know what the conversations are in the background. We don't know. I want to just set the record straight with that, guys, and I want to thank you for your patience with me and appreciate the fact that you guys trust me to come here to this platform to try and help make sense of this terrible topic. So now I want to start off with what evidence do we have that Madeline Soto was not pregnant? What's the evidence that this didn't happen? So I want to start off with this one because this is a big one that's kind of like all over the internet. I'm going to show you this exhibit. We're going to call these exhibits. So corny. I mean, that's what they call them in court, right? So it's not too corny, whatever. But take this off right here. So we'll start with Exhibit 1. Exhibit 1 is the infamous dress. Why is it the infamous dress? Because it's the dress that everybody goes to. Well, not everybody, not me, but a lot of people go to when they want to believe, hey, look, she looks like she might be pregnant. Look how she's standing, etc. This dress means nothing to me. This outfit, this stance, her demeanor, it means nothing to me. I have never one time looked at this photo and said, oh, that she looks like she's pregnant in that photo. No, she doesn't. She looks like a little kid. Anybody who has kids this age, which I do, many of you do, that's how they're posing. That's how these girls pose. Second of all, the style of the dress is, especially when you have that kind of top where the bosom goes, that style of dress usually makes a girl look like she might, it's like puffy on the bottom. I've seen that all the time. I've seen my daughters and seen my wife wear those things. And it makes them look like they have more weight than they have. And everybody in the house is petite, except for me. I'm just a big husky guy. So this photo, for those who are out there saying that this is an example as to why Maddie was pregnant, I don't believe. I don't believe. Some people have also said that her eyes look like she is malnourished. That's specifically some of the words that I've read. And that she might be pregnant and not properly nourishing herself. First of all, if she was pregnant, she would just be maybe a month or two pregnant. That's not enough for one to say that they're malnourished because they're full-blown pregnant and not eating enough for two. Second of all, we know for a fact now that Maddie has been abused since she was 8 years old, but Strategic Eyes on this show maintains that it was probably since she was 6 years old. And the reason why I say that once again is because during Jen Soto's interview, she said she was with Stephen Stearns for 7 years. Now, don't call me a sexist or something like that, because I'm going to make a generalized statement. But I find that women are better with dates than men. I'm dad of the year. I'm going to give myself my own crown. Hopefully my kids will agree. But even I sometimes in the past, not anymore, but used to forget my kid's birthday. Shame on me. I got too many of them. All from the same woman too. But women never forget dates. And so when they interviewed Jen Soto, she said, I've been with him for 7 years. And when they interviewed Stephen Stearns, he said, we've been together for several years. Now, several does not mean 7 exactly. Several means many. But she said an exact number. She said 7 years we've been together. And at the time that interview occurred, if you counted back the time, Maddie would have been 6 years old. So that's why I believe that it could have started, maybe not physically, but the grooming could have started at 6 years old. She's been abused since she was at least 8. And we have that evidence from what we found in the phones and in the iClouds, the Google Clouds and all that stuff. So her eyes looking tired, looking stressed, could very well be what this girl endures on a daily basis for most of her life. We're also going to prove in this live, which will be a secondary thing we're going to discuss before we open up the lines to calls. We're going to prove that on the night of her death, she was essayed by Stephen Stearns. We're also going to prove that there's a possibility that she was drugged. I'm going to show you some evidence that shows a possibility that she was drugged as well. But let's keep going. So this dress means nothing to me. I do not agree with this being a piece of evidence that would prove that she was a victim of being pregnant by Stephen Stearns. The next thing we're going to pull up is the laboratory report. This is the only forensic report, scientific forensic report that we were allowed to have by the county attorney in Florida and the police upon full requests from amazing YouTubers like The Docket, who is a wizard at getting these documents, and Plunder. What I like about Plunder is that she spends hundreds of dollars obtaining these documents, and then she sells them on her Patreon for pennies. Thank you, Plunder. Now, I did not get this from Plunder. I got this from the Strategiceyes family. This was sent to me by a viewer, the 800-page dump. Thank you so much. Please keep it up. If you guys have documents on these cases, send them to me, and I will talk about the cases. I love breaking down forensic reports, laboratory reports. That's part of my expertise. I'm not a scientist, but I was trained to interpret these documents because I use them on a daily basis in the real world when I take off these headphones and I put on my cape and get to work. So if you want me to break down a forensic report, send them to me. I will break them down. I've also had people reach out to me, and I actually had a viewer who is a retired lab tech, forensic lab tech, who offered to also help explain these documents. And I'm going to find that email. I apologize because I get so many emails. It kind of gets lost in the sauce, and I got to work on my workflow of how to separate these things. This stuff is new for me. This successful channel is a growing channel and is new to me. So be patient, people. But I'm gonna find that email. I'm gonna reach out to that person and we're gonna collaborate. We're gonna have them we're gonna vet them, find out what their chops really are, if they really are who they say they are, and if they are and their background checks out, we will have them on their channel as a professional witness. And we'll use their expertise to help us make sense of these cases to come. But in this report specifically dives into the SOECK kit, and it dives into the tests on other evidence that was submitted from the crime scene. This report doesn't say anything about a pregnancy, nor should it. So this one is more of, it doesn't prove or disprove, but it's not evidence to the contrary, because this type of report would not have findings that would deal with pregnancy, unless, of course, evidence that was removed involved something that, well, the direction I was going is not relevant, so forget it. But yeah, this doesn't prove or disprove. So let's go to the next one. And this one's important. This is an excerpt from the 800-page dump for the investigation. And I'm going to read it from this third paragraph here. That'll be 1, 2, and 3. And this is talking to the psychologist, I believe. I think the school counselor. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. And it says, at each of their check-ins during December, January, and February. So December's allegedly when Stephen Stearns left the home. So December, January, and February. But I want you guys to know that there's no evidence that Stephen Stearns never came back to visit. There's no testimony that didn't happen. There's no testimony he didn't spend the night every now and then. There's no testimony that him and Jen Soto were enemies until the night Maddie was taken away from us. I wouldn't say passed away because that sometimes would construe natural causes. No, she was literally taken away from us. So this may not be the last time that Maddie saw Stephen Stearns and was alone with Stephen Stearns and was victimized by Stephen Stearns. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't mean to bounce around because right now we're talking about why it may not have happened, but think about it. What would make Stephen Stearns so bold that he would, on the first night allegedly back into the home, that he would immediately go into the room with Maddie and continue the abuse that night? And I have proof that he continued that abuse that night. It's not exclusive information. It's information people have just bypassed that they didn't understand was probative. We have proof that he essayed her that night. What would give him the balls and the gumption to do that if him and Jen were on the outs and they were enemies and they hated each other and they broke up? I'm using hyperbole, of course. And they broke up and he went back home. He moved all the stuff out and he never had any contact again. And then lo and behold, a couple days after her birthday, it's like, hey, come on up here. I need help with Maddie. I need help with Maddie. What do you need help with Maddie for? Maddie is 13 years old. What do you need help with her for? I need help with Maddie. Come on up here. And he's just like, okay, I'm coming. And he drives 3 hours. He brings just minimal clothing, like enough clothing just for like a day or two. And then right back at it. Door closes, torture begins. Doesn't make much sense, right? Doesn't really make much sense. But let's read it. At each of their check-ins during December, January, and February, blank reported that things were improving at home and things were better at school. Blank reported, and this is Maddie, reported that her mom's boyfriend was living in the home and she didn't like him because he was weird. Now, this statement is not a transcript of what was discussed. And the officer or the detective made a mistake in this statement. He made a mistake in his statement because in the beginning of the statement, he says at each of their check-ins during December, January, and February, something different happened in each one of those months. Something different was stated in each one of those months. And how do we know that? Because in the next sentences, he says, when pressed, he says, Maddie reported her mom's boyfriend was living in the home and she didn't like him because he was weird. Well, when did that happen? Because we know that in December he moved out. We know he wasn't living there. At least he wasn't living there full-time in January, and he wasn't living there full-time in February. So the officer did not basically tell us when Stephen was living there, because he just gave us those 3 months and basically he's given a generalized statement for all 3 months when that's not accurate. It's not accurate. Now, maybe on the stand during testimony, he would be able to differentiate what he was told for each month's check-in with the psychologist. Or they'll just call the psychologist to the stand, have her read through her notes, have those notes entered into evidence, and then they'll be able to in detail know what Maddie said for each month. But as a detective, we rely on this summary. So you have to be detailed. You have to be detailed in when you break it down, because this is all the DA, this is all the grand jury, this is all the court of public opinion have until those extra details come out inside of court, right? So before I keep going though, I got to remind you guys, please hit that like button, guys. Hit the like button. We got a lot of people watching the stream. A lot of people are going to watch the stream and we appreciate that. Please hit the like button, support the channel, so that we can get this sent to a wider audience, guys. Make sure you hit that like button. I know that my moderators are smashing it and tackling it inside of the comment section. We just need you guys to actually listen and hit that like button. All right, let's keep going. When she pressed Maddie about why she felt he was weird, she claimed it was because he ate all of their food, hangs out in their living room, and makes her feel uncomfortable. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Maddie has been indoctrinated and she has been groomed her entire life, pretty much. the life that she's cognizant of. How much time, what do you remember when you were 4? What do you remember about when you were 3? What do you remember when you were 1? What do you remember when you were 5 or 6? What do you remember when you was 8? Now think about your Maddie now, and you're 8, you're 9, you're 10, you're 11, you're 12, you're 13, and all you know is Stephen Stern's abuse. All you know is him conditioning you into thinking that this is normal and it's okay. And it's something that should happen and it's something that you should enjoy. Think about that. But as you're getting older, you're starting to realize that these things are bad. They're bad. So guess what? This is your little way of starting to push back. This is your little way of starting to scream for help, to ask for help, to start and bring awareness to the fact that something's not right. How do you do that when your entire life you've been indoctrinated into this person's depravity? You say, I don't like him because he eats all the food. He hangs out in the living room and he makes me feel uncomfortable. That is her reaching out. I don't blame this counselor for not being able to put this puzzle together, because it's a complex puzzle. And it took her death for us to start putting it together. But that's her reaching out. Maddie reported in December that mom's boyfriend was moving out of the home, and that made her happy. Maddie never disclosed having, excuse me, I lost my place. Maddie never disclosed having depression or self-ending thoughts. Never disclosed any relationship dynamics between her mom and her mom's boyfriend. She also never disclosed anything inappropriate happening between her and her mother's boyfriend. Maddie's mom told Blank that Blank was seeing a therapist weekly. Maddie's grades appeared to be stable and seemed to be improving since December, when she started to report things were getting better at home and at school. Their last check-in was on February 6, 2024, and Maddie reported she was really happy and things were good with mom and at school. So that bolsters that she was not preggo. Because in this last statement that is highlighted by the Strategic Eyes research crew, God bless the Strategic Eyes research crew doing God's work, helping us get to the bottom of these cases. She reports her life was getting better. One could construe, you can construe it, it's not fact, but one could construe that if she was pregnant, that she would be going in the opposite direction. Her grades would be getting worse. She would be more stressed out. She would be more depressed. She would not be saying that things are getting better if she's dealing with the unknown of possibly having a baby. So this is a good statement and a good example of why she may not have been pregnant. So now we want to retool. We want to retool. And we want to start talking about what is my theory of why she may have been pregnant. It's my theory. And actually, I want you guys to give me a second real quick, because there's something I want to look up. That I thought I did before the live started. I was like, oh yeah, I looked this up, I got that, and I didn't. It's crazy. Give me a second. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. All right, cool. We got that up there. All right. Hit that like button, please. Support the channel. Also, we have a Strategic Eyes membership. Just want to plug it real quick before we segue into the next part of the live, where we're talking about why Maddie may have been pregnant. We do have a membership. The lowest tier is 99 cents. There are tiers though. The more you pay, the more you get in terms of content. So most people will get the $3.99 tier or the $7.99 tier. We do have some people who have the $29.99 tier. But if you want to become a member, you want to experience exclusive content, the lowest tier is 99 cents. For 99 cents, you can be a Strategiceyes member, and the more you pay, the more you get. But everybody gets value, and there are members inside of the chat. If you're considering becoming a member, ask them, hey, listen, how's his membership program? How is it on the 99 cent store? How is it on the $3.99 tier? They'll tell you, you get your value for your buck. I'm out here giving personalized shows on a daily basis, but here, for everybody else, you may get a show twice a week, once a week. If I'm off, you get it more often. But the members, they get content from me almost daily. 4 to 5 times a week, I will post a members only show that will give you behind the scenes look of the Strategiceyes show, discuss important topics, discuss important things that are happening with me, the creator, it's happening with the show, personal things, etc. You really want to get to know Strategiceyes, you really want to be a part of the family, consider becoming a member of the show. All right, now, before I continue, I'm going to say this one more time, okay? Because some people, they get stuck in their emotions. And emotions are beautiful, all right? There's nothing wrong with being an emotional person. There's nothing wrong with having empathy. There's nothing wrong with having love and care in your heart for others. But people sometimes think and lead with their emotions and not with facts. We are talking about a theory. A theory is not a fact. A theory is an idea. In fact, theories are what the entire technological and scientific revolution of the human race is based on. You don't just create things in science. You come out with a theory first. You say, I believe that if I put wings on something, it might fly. And then you do like the Wright brothers. And first you make a flappy wing thing, and that doesn't work. And then you make a glider, and it kind of works, but it doesn't work too good. And then you put a bicycle engine on the front of that flappy wing thing, and then you propel that thing really fast, and guess what? You got an airplane. But it started with an idea, with a sketch, with a theory, with a thought. And when you get that idea, that sketch, that thought, you build on it, you evaluate it, you argue it, you study it, you research it, and then you either decide that it works or you decide that it doesn't work. So I am not in any way telling you guys moving forward that Madeline Soto was pregnant. I'm not telling you that. I don't have any evidence of it. Neither do you have evidence that she was not pregnant. Everything I showed you was anecdotal. Everything I'm going to tell you right now is anecdotal. There's no evidence that Maddie was not pregnant because we don't have the autopsy report. And as I'm going to show you, in Florida, they treat a fetus as a member of the human race. That is in their law. And that fetus is to be charged separately. Which means that they can add the charge on for the child at any time, just like they can charge Jen Soto at any time. We also know that the prosecution is focusing on the SA. They want to do a death penalty SA case first. And then they're going to do a homicide case, death penalty against Stephen Stearns. What I think they want to do is, because the SA case is so strong, they want to get their conviction and then make Stephen Stearns take a deal for the homicide. Just plead guilty to it. And they're just included in the sentence for the SA. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not in those rooms. Neither are you. It's the theory. It's an idea. What I think. So don't get upset when we talk about these topics. That's what we're here to do. Why else are we here? All the evidence is out already. You can go read it for yourself. There'll be no point in anybody making these videos. We could not surmise what's to come next. That's why we're here. So why do I think that there's a possibility that Madeline Soto is pregnant? We have to go to the evidence to kind of figure that out. We have to look at what was Stephen Stearns doing. So right now I'm trying to pull things up real quick so we could jump into it. Pull that one up. All right, so we'll start with this one. So this is going to be the evidence of SA that occurred that night. Now, this doesn't necessarily say that she was pregnant. Not at all. But what it shows is his recklessness. This guy was abusing her since she was a child. It's highly unlikely that this guy was using protection. Highly unlikely. There's no evidence of it. None of that was found on his possession, in his car, in his wallet, in his bags, in the trash that was going through. All of the trash was going through inside of that trash bin. There's no evidence taken. If there was condoms in there, they would have taken it. They would have tested it. There's a possibility it could have been another neighbor's, but they would have taken it and tested it, and they would have ruled it out and say, oh, this belongs to unknown donors that isn't Maddie, Madeline and isn't Stephen Stearns or even Jen Soto. They didn't take none of that. But we know that he was essaying her, but we also know because of the lack of evidence that he was not using protection. So let me bring this in. So check this document out. Let me go ahead and zoom it in a little bit. Supplemental report on February 28th, 2024, I, Detective Kyle Cole, was tasked with collecting surveillance video regarding this investigation. I responded to 13651 South John Young Parkway with a smoke shot. So we'll skip that one because he's talking about the smoke shot. We'll go to the second paragraph, right? After collecting the surveillance video, I was tasked with responding to the Orange County Sheriff's Office Central Operations Building to review images located on Stephen's phone for the Orange County Sheriff's Digital Forensics Unit. Upon reviewing the contents of Stephen's pictures and videos, I observed several pictures depicting what appeared to be blank being penetrated orally and vaginally by a man's member. There were pictures of blank both awake and asleep with her privates and her chest exposed as the focal point of the pictures. It should be noted that the male's member, observed entering or union with the victim, and that's the legal term that they use in Florida that I told you guys I like because I think it's very respectful to victims, saying the union. For some reason, I just like the way it sounds. It's much better than here in New York, where we just all in New York, no matter what county you're in, Albany, Buffalo, Orange, Rockland, Westchester, Onondaga, Long Island, New York City, it doesn't matter. They just say the words. They just say the words. So for those of you out there who are very squirmish about these actual terms, legal terms, you would not want to read these reports in places like New York where they're just going to tell you what it is. But let's keep going. But I like when they say union. They're not using this report, but they used it inside of the affidavit and the indictments inside of actual court documents. So I'll try and fit that in here. It should be noted the male's member observed in union with the victim had distinct markings on it, which consisted of bright pinkish colored skin below the head of the member until approximately a quarter of the length down the length of the member. Several other pictures capturing this distinct pattern were observed on the phone. Further, as I was reviewing the pictures and videos, I observed several different pieces of clothing. This is the important part, ladies and gentlemen. This is the important part that proves that it happened this night. And it shows his recklessness that could possibly result in pregnancy. I observed several different pieces of clothing to include patterned underwear, shirts, blankets, and sheets Simultaneously, detectives of the Orange County Sheriff's Office were executing a search warrant at Stephen Stern's home address of blank. This address is also where the victim and her mother live. So they did the search warrant at Jen Soto's home, her father's home. Somebody got upset with me when I said, what is this 40-year-old woman doing living with her parents? They was like, I'm 40 and I live with my parents. How dare you, Strategic? I'm like, I don't know what your situation is. Maybe your family is elderly and you're taking care of them. That makes you a hero, not a loser. But come on, we expect most adults to be autonomous. Anyway, let's keep going. I observed this address is also where the victim and her mother live. The detectives searching the residence were contacted and confirmed they found the same distinctive clothing worn by both Stephen and the victim in Stephen's room and the victim's room. They found the sheets in the room. The same sheets that was in the video that was on his phone. That could lead us to believe that it's highly likely that the video that this guy was viewing was the video of that night, and those same items of clothing was found inside of the room that were found on the video while this child was being abused. I believe that same night he abused her. Let's keep going. I think we're good there. We'll leave that one there. So it's my opinion. We're going to keep going. I got more for you, but it's my opinion that this guy was not taking the proper precautions to prevent pregnancy. That's a tall order of a thing to say, because what he was doing was horrendous in his first place. But he was reckless. And Maddie was now a big girl. And Maddie was now going through puberty. And Maddie was menstruating. And there was a chance of pregnancy if somebody was abusing her, like Stephen Stearns was. Let me go ahead and pull up another piece of evidence I want us to review. And I want to play a video for you guys. So let's see here. Here's another piece right here. Another piece. You bring this in. And then we're going to go to the whole her menstrual. Hit that like button, people, where the friend talks about the menstrual, where Stephen Stearns talks about her menstrual. He's tracking it. He's aware of it. We're going to talk about that too. We're not nearly done here, people. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to get deep down into this, and after that, we got to hear from you. But let's keep going. So there's another piece of the document done. On February 28, 2024, I responded to blank to supervise the execution of a search warrant. During the search, Orange County Forensics was present, photographed the residence, and collected numerous items of clothing and bedding, which were identified as being in contact with the victim during abuse. Most of the items were collected. Now, did you just hear that? Bedding, clothing, and bedding, which was identified as being in contact with the victim during abuse. Most of the items were collected from the downstairs bedroom and divided off sleeping area in the living room. Some additional items were collected from the upstairs bedroom identified with a number 4 on the door. After forensic left the residence, a roommate named Blank arrived and requested items from the bedroom. I escorted her while she collected clothing and toiletries from her room and left the residence. At approximately 1640 hours, I was notified that Orange County Sheriff's Emergency Response Team members located a glove in the wooded area, so they went and collected the glove. At approximately 1719 hours, Vanessa Nylander called me and notified me that they had located some blank. This is I don't think these were. Oh no, this was very probative. Belongings in the trash, including a single white Croc. So somebody called in the call-in show last week and brought our attention to the white Croc. That Jen Soto said that her daughter had white Crocs on. But we know that that was a lie because one white Croc was by the window and the other white Croc was in the trash. And this right here bolsters what that caller said with that ingenious observation. Thank you so much. I got the best viewers on the excuse me. Don't say goddamn. I get in trouble by my viewers when I say that. I got the best viewers on the planet. It's a New York thing. I know some of you guys are like really super religious, but like it's a New York thing. That's how we talk. We're not hating on God. We love God. This is how we talk. But anyway, it bolsters what she said. It was ingenious what she said, that observation. Even I missed that. Of course, I'm not going to catch everything, but even I missed it. And thank you, caller, for bringing that to our attention. So this says it. Belongings in the trash, including a single white Croc. CSI Jamick recalled seeing Crocs in the downstairs bedroom. I re-entered the residence and looked in the downstairs bedroom for the white Crocs. I located 3 white Crocs near the window. 1 pair, women's size 8. That's not Maddie's. That's probably mommy's. And a single left shoe size 5 to 7. That's Maddie's. Which matched the right size of 5 to 7, which was located in the trash. I took photographs of the shoes, packaged the shoe, and later turned it over the forensics as well. So Stephen tried to get rid of the shoe, but he forgot 1 shoe inside of the home. So you have 1 shoe in the trash, 1 shoe in the home. But yet Jen Soto said she saw her daughter leave the house, get dressed, and leave the house the morning that she was killed, which is a lie. At least we believe it to be a lie. And her daughter was wearing white Crocs. Make it make sense. There is no sense other than the fact that she was lying. But that's a secondary thing. To go back to the main point of this slide, the main point of this slide is the fact that the sheets were on the bed. The clothing were in the rooms. And the sheets and the clothing matched the videos that were found on Stephen Stern's phone with him essaying the child. And in the previous slide that we spoke about, the detectives described the male member of Stephen Stern, and they did not describe it with protection on. They did not describe it being safe. They described it victimizing the child in the worst way. Let's keep going. I got more for you. Let me bring it back to me. Bring it back to me. All right, let's go here. This is a statement from the friend. Statement from the friend. Let's see if we can start up here. Blank emphasized that Maddie mentioned of living in the woods when only if it was World War III were to happen. She said that she did not ever notice any bruising on Blank. And this statement is not just important because of the period, the menstrual cycle statement. There's another thing we can deduce from this interview. There's another thing we can deduce from this interview. And guys, please hit that like button. We really do appreciate it. If anybody wants to support the channel, we do need the support because guess what? We do get demonetized. This video might very well be demonetized. So if anyone want to hook us up with a super chat, PayPal, CashApp, we do appreciate it. It is what it is. We got to keep the show running. We got to keep the show running. We do appreciate your help. But back to the story. Or the topic rather at hand. There's nothing a story about this. This is a tragedy. So back to this tragic topic. There's something else we can deduce from this, and I'll tell you what else we can deduce from it after I'm finished reading this statement. She said that she did not ever notice any bruising on Maddie, but noted how she occasionally came to school with red makeup on, which made it look like she was crying. Blank told me that she would go to blank every weekend. She did not ever stay the night because of her parents' own rules. Thank God for those parents protecting their daughter. Blank told me that she met Stefan on one occasion, got to, even though he and Blank's mother had been together her entire life. Blank stated that he recently moved out of the residence for an unknown reason, and when she asked Maddie why he did, she ignored the question. Blank told me that Maddie and Stefan were very close and they would communicate. So I wonder why Maddie would not talk about why Stefan moved out of the residence. Could it have been because the mother found out that this was happening, and like what happens so often in the real world, rather than call the cops, it's just like, how could you get out, move out? But then the mother still loves the attacker, the abuser, the perpetrator, and then they end up working it out, and then they come back again, and then the abuse continues. Could it be a situation like that? Could it just be that they broke up because their relationship was working out? But if it was just that her mother no longer wanted to be with Stefan, or vice versa, why wouldn't Maddie feel comfortable? Because remember, these are girls, and once again, I don't want to sound sexist, but girls and women talk about relationship stuff, and they talk shop, and they gossip, right? So, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. If you're a female, you don't gossip, I apologize. I don't mean to stereotype. But why wouldn't she gossip with her friend? Why wouldn't she share something that doesn't have really much to do with her, which is her mother's relationship? But she didn't want to share that. She just ignored the question. So let's keep going. Blank told that Maddie and Stefan were very close and they would communicate. Now here's where we get to the meat of it, where we'll talk about the period stuff. And then I'll explain to you why this is such an important interview here, because this is one of her closest friends. Whenever she asked Maddie about it, she said that they just had a close relationship. Blank told me that she received 2 pictures of Stefan that Blank had sent her. She described them as screenshots that Blank appeared to have taken during the time when they were FaceTiming. However, Blank was not able to locate the photos. Blank told me that Blank typically got her menstrual cycle 2 days before she did, except for the last month when Blank got hers a week or two after Blank got hers. So when Maddie got hers a week or two after the friend. The friend told me that she did not have a conversation as to why Maddie's menstrual cycle was late. The friend told me that Maddie was a virgin and she did not ever see or hear anything to the contrary. The friend stated that Maddie's mother was never freaking out and that she thought that it was weird that she said that she dropped Maddie off to school when initially Stefan said that he did. Let's stop it there. What does this statement tell you guys? Aside from the period, aside from pregnancy, aside from anything, what does it tell you guys? Hey, Judy said men gossip too and sometimes more. Hey, this ain't about us, all right? This is about you. Yeah, we probably do gossip more, to be honest with you. I think women do it better. It's much more entertaining when I hear something from a woman than when I hear it from a guy. But yeah, I think guys gossip more than women. Thanks for checking me, Judy. You won this one. You won this one. I'll tell you what it tells you guys. It tells you that Maddie kept secrets. It tells you that Maddie didn't tell her friend anything. Her friend knew nothing about her. Maddie wouldn't have told her friend if she was pregnant. Maddie wouldn't have told her friend if she actually did or did not get her period. If we go back to that, she said that Maddie usually got her menstrual 2 days before her. She said, except for the last month when she got hers a week or two after I got mine's. Blank told me that they did not have a conversation as to why her menstrual cycle was late. Blank believed that she was a virgin. For all we know, They could have had an incidental conversation where it was like, did you get your period yet? And she was like, yeah, I got it. And she never got it. For all we know. Maddie didn't talk to her about these things. Maddie didn't talk to her about her sex life with boys. We're not going to call her sex life with Stephen Stearns. That's not a sex life. That's abuse. But she didn't talk to her about if there were any other boys that she might have been seeing. She didn't talk to her about her abuse from Stephen Stearns. She didn't talk to her about possible pregnancy. She didn't talk to her about none of those things. Maddie kept all these things to herself. I want to go ahead and now play a video for you guys. Let me bring it back to me so I can set up the video. And soon there's a few more things I want to show you guys. I want to talk about the law, etc. And then I want to take in some calls, man. So if you plan on calling in, I'll let you guys know when you can call in. And definitely I want to hear from you guys. You guys are amazing. I think it's if it's anything like last time, I think we'll have a great call-in show. If it's anything like last time. Last time we had great callers. If you called in before, feel free to call in again. There's no time. There's no amount of times you can call in. You know, it's first come, first serve. So if you call and I pick up, you're on. I don't care if you called every single day. Every time we do a call-in show and you keep calling, who cares? I'm going to hear you out. I want to hear from you. You matter, all right? It's just going to show me that you're a dedicated viewer of the channel anyway, and I never, ever denigrate somebody who is supporting the channel. Rachel W. says, oh, okay, I got you. I'm sorry. I thought you was asking a question. Got you. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this in. We've heard this before. We're not listening to the whole thing. Of course not. We're starting exactly, I think like maybe 30 seconds or a minute before, just to let it play in so we get some context. We're not jumping right into it. Just going to play like 2-3 minutes. That's it. This is the interview that the police did. We do have that audio file self, but I used JLR's video simply because it's visual. It's not just the audio in the background that we'll listen to. So we could play this with our own audio that we own, that we not own, but we have sourced ourselves legally that belongs to the Strategic Eyes show. But JLR is cool. He doesn't copyright strike people. We're going to go ahead and use his video. We'll play it right now.
Would you say she's usually like a happy,
very
go-lucky girl?
Very happy. She brings a lot of joy. She's a very good girl. It definitely doesn't feel the same around here if she's not here. She was so happy too. She was looking forward to my visit here. She was looking forward to us all being together. She was just happy. She was just very happy.
Oh, wow.
I loved her like she was my own.
And is she the only child, or does she have siblings?
She is the only child, yes.
Do you have any kids with anyone else, or?
No.
So she's kind of...
Is what we call me.
So you'd say you guys have a pretty good relationship?
Yeah. Definitely have a very strong bond.
Just dating.
But, I'm the person she goes to when her mom gets in a fight with her and she needs someone to comfort her, and like I'm that person for her,
How's her relationship with mom?
Good most of the time. Puberty not long ago, so she's getting the PMS mood swings, and when her mom gets them too, they butt heads, and so as well as you can expect, but otherwise very loving.
You heard that? Did that fly over you guys' head? PMS mood swings. He's tracking her menstrual. Let me go back again. I want you guys to hear that one more time. I'm sorry. We got to hear that.
Definitely have a very strong bond.
Just dating.
But, I'm the person she goes to when her mom gets in a fight with her and she needs someone to comfort her, and like I'm that person for her,
How's her relationship with mom?
Good most of the time. Puberty not long ago, so she's getting the PMS mood swings, and when her mom gets them too, they butt heads, and so as well as you can expect, but otherwise very loving. Very loving. This girl knows nothing but love here in this house. She hardly ever hears the word no.
This guy knows everything about Maddie. That's part of the control. Part of the control is knowing everything about Maddie. He knows her mood swings. He knows she's PMSing. He knows when she's on her period. He knows everything. He knows everything. Let's keep going.
Double-edged sword that is.
How is she in school?
So-so. She's so-so in school.
Like grade-wise
She's
or
doing a lot
behavior-wise?
better, though. Apparently, she just made Student of the Week.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so we're very proud of her. And she's doing singing, choir, and she's sounding just amazing. She sang for me last night, and I immediately wanted to show her the movie Sister Act because of the choir singing. It was so pretty. It reminded me.
All right, that's all we're going to do with that. We've already reviewed this. We just wanted that small little piece. If anybody wants to watch it, please go over the full thing. It's 43 minutes. Go over to JLR's channel and you can watch that unedited full interview. We also did a breakdown of this interview on the channel. Go to the Madeline Soto playlist and you can see us break down all of this stuff in previous videos. We deep dive into it. It's what we do here on the Strategic Eyes Show. We deep dive into this stuff. Other channels cover it and they do an amazing job covering it, bringing awareness to this stuff. Our job is to do a deep investigative dive into the nitty gritty and every single word of these documents, because that's what real true crime is. If you're watching true crime, you pretty much want to be a detective, right? Well, that's not for everybody. It's not everybody's destiny to do that line of work. So we're going to do it here and you're going to do it with a professional. We're going to guide each other down this path. So consider going to JLR and showing him some love and giving this particular video, if you like, some views and listen to the probative information that's coming out of it. All right, let me bring the camera back to me. Wow. Wow. I'm going to go ahead, bring this up. All right. Go ahead and bring this up. All right. Let me get the law over here. I want to talk law with you guys. Talk law with you guys. I got to tell you guys, like I told you guys before, I really don't like how Florida breaks down their laws. It's not like when I look at the New York State criminal procedure law and penal law, it is so well written. Don't get me wrong, like every law, it'll have gaps and stuff like that the legislature needs to fix, but it really lays out in a really easy way to view in a clear and concise way. What is the law, how it's broken, and what acts constitute being a part of that particular law. I don't really like the way that Florida kind of writes their laws. Like, look at this, guys. Look how, and it's no disrespect to Florida. I mean, these are legislators. These are greater men than me, right? But look how amateurish. This is from the Florida website. This is not from some secondary source. This is from the Florida website. Look how amateurish this looks. And then it constantly sends you to different laws. Well, do this as described in that. And, well, in New York State, what they do is they'll have a preamble, which is the procedural law, and then it'll tell you, it'll break down all the terms. So now you have the definitions, all the terms in the beginning of the law. And then when you go down, it starts telling you, hey, you're guilty of this if you did this, that, and the third. And that's it. Look how convoluted this is. But this is for murder, the unlawful killing of a human being. 1, when perpetrated from a premeditated design to effect the death of the person killed or any human being. 2, when committed by a person engaged in the perpetration of or in the attempt to perpetrate any, and then it has all these provisions here. So then you're going to have the sexual battery. That's significant in this case because that's what we're dealing with. And O, so the sexual battery is C for Charlie. O for October is murder of another human being. So those are kind of like the two provisions that constitutes the murder of Madeline Soto, which is 782.04. Now, if we go over to 775.021, it goes, the provisions of this code and offenses defined by other statutes shall be strictly construed when the language is susceptible of differing construction. It shall be construed most favorably to the accused. The hell are you talking about? This is stuff is written for judges and lawyers, not for the average person, right? So let's keep going. Whoever the course of one criminal transaction or episode commits an act or acts which constitutes one or more separate criminal offenses upon conviction and adjudication of guilt shall be sentenced separately for each criminal offense, and the sentencing judge may order the sentences to be served concurrently or consecutively for the purposes of this subsection. Offenses are separate for each offense, required separately for each criminal offense, and the sentencing judge may order proof of an element that the other does not, without regard to the accusatory pleading or proof adduced at trial. Let's see here. Where was it that I saw that? Here we go. Number 5 is the one that's the provision that's important here. Whoever commits an act that violates a provision of this code or commits a criminal offense defined by another statute and thereby causes the death of or bodily injury to an unborn child commits a separate offense if that provision or statute does not otherwise specifically provide a separate offense for such death or injury to an unborn child. A separate offense. Which means that they don't have to charge it right now. They don't have to charge it right now. They can charge it at any time. They can continue their investigation. There's some companies right now, like Telegram, where they're going to be subpoenaing and trying to get information from who's going to legally resist them. It's going to take time to get information, if at all, from those companies. They can wait until those battles carry through in court. Those battles will not be covered by the news. You'll not get any updates on these subpoena battles that are happening between the county attorney in Florida and these websites and these internet companies that don't like sharing information with government. They don't like to. They can wait until they have all those ducks in order before they charge him. They can wait until they nail down that deal that they might be working on with Jen Soto right now with her attorney to give her a light sentence in exchange for her cooperation against Stephen Stearns. They can wait till that deal that I'm surmising, that is my theory, is happening, till that's solidified before they charge him with the death of an unborn child. The crutch of this argument is that Madeline Soto does not make any sense unless there's something imminent that was going to expose him to the world. What can you think of? What could be more imminent than her being pregnant? What could make her mother want to demand him to come up and help her on the day that she did, after he was out of the house for so long? Why then? Why then at 8:50 in the night? He didn't pick her up from the aunt's house. He didn't even pick Jen Soto up. Why converge on the house in the nighttime? Unless something bad was happening, something life-changing. From the court documents, we see that she was being abused pretty much 5 days out of the week for years. 4 years. Why now? Why kill her now? I proved to you that there was evidence that he essayed her on the night that she passed away. The night that she passed away, he essayed her. Why that night? Why after essaying her, just like you essayed her every other night before that, whenever you lived there, why choose to kill her this day? Why come up so far, so quickly on this night, unless something was going on? And then why was mommy lying about where her daughter was and what her daughter was wearing and who took her to school? Why? Why did mommy call Stephen Stearns up that day to help with Maddie? Why did Stephen Stearns choose to end Maddie that night? And then why did mommy try and help cover up her daughter's ending by Stephen Stearns the next day? Why? Why? Unbelievable. Very interesting stuff. But like I said, there's no real evidence until we see the autopsy report that Madeline Soto was pregnant. But there's also no evidence that says she was not pregnant. What we have is statements of late periods. The only thing to bolster it is a friend saying, but well, I think she got hers 2 weeks late, but you don't know. You don't know definitively. We also know that sometimes people have erratic periods when they're first pregnant. We know that. On the other hand, we have heard from some people who are in tune with the families that the family, notably the biological father of Maddie, says that she was not pregnant. I have not received that information myself, nor is that widely publicized information. But I'll take it for its face value that his side says that she was not pregnant. We've heard nothing from Jen Soto's side. We have heard nothing from Jen Soto. I will tell you, in my experience, that families are not always the most accurate barometers of truth when it comes to either a subject or a victim. The subject's families are always trying to minimize so that they can hopefully get their loved one off from the heinous crimes that they committed. And the victims' families are oftentimes trying to minimize as well in order to protect the virtue and the honor of the victim. They don't want to remember their loved one or think of their loved one, if they're surviving, of having endured and experienced these bad things. Guess what? That's not our problem. I'm not trying to say that in a callous way, but it's really not our problem. Our problem is to figure out what's going on. We're true crime. We're not a part of that circle. We're not a part of that community. We live hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles away from the incident location. We're the court of public opinion. Our job is to theorize and to surmise what happened based off the evidence and the facts until we get the trial. And if we're wrong, well, we say that was a bad theory. That's okay. It's part of the scientific method. And if we're right, we say, wow, we did a good job deducing the truth with what evidence we were allowed to have by the prosecution and the defense. That is our purpose here. It is nothing wrong. It's nothing taboo with asking these questions. That is our raison d'etre in this platform and forum. You take that away and there's no point. There's no point. Because the only strict arbiter of fact and fiction is the trial. It's the trial. And so if we're not going to do that here where we can respectfully theorize on what happened on a true crime platform, then we might as well just all have trial streaming platforms where we don't talk about true crime. We just put cameras in the courtroom and we watch it. I was watching Grizzly True Crime the other day. She's amazing. I love her channel. And she was sitting through a court proceeding and the trial. And there was thousands of people watching it. And that's what we'll all just do. We'll all just watch the trial. Because what's the purpose in talking about these things if we can't theorize what might have happened? If we can't try and find motive, there's no purpose in us being here. But let's keep going. I want to read for you guys. We got 2 more things, and then we're going to go to the call-ins. 3 more things. One, I want to read for you guys a post on Reddit from a survivor. Post on Reddit from a survivor. It's a little bit intense, okay? But I think you guys are mature enough to handle it. So I want to read that for you. And it's in conjunction with this Madeline situation. But person's kind of talking about it from their own personal experience, but it's real and it's raw, and I respect it. I do. I want to read that for you. Then I want to also show you a similar case, the Jonathan Keyless case. And this is an uncle who was essaying his niece. His niece was not coming from a very good home. There wasn't a lot of structure with this little girl, and she was out there being victimized by a number of grown men. Many of them were not charged. They were used as witnesses. Shame on these grown men who were taking advantage of this little girl. But the biggest culprit was her uncle, and her uncle got her pregnant, and he did not want to lose his family. So he lured his niece away and he killed her. So I'm going to show you some excerpts on that, because that one was already adjudicated. It's going to show us how Florida courts, because this happened in Florida, deal with when a subject deletes a victim who is with child. So it's a really good test case to understand how the Florida courts deal with this. Then after that, I guess we'll jump into the call-in show. So let me bring this back to me. And let me get this bad boy set up. Okay. All right, perfect. I said this might be a little intense. Forgive me. I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing, because the first one's kind of like the theory of why she might be pregnant or something to that effect, but then it kind of goes into I think this is good too. I'll read this little one right here. So in a newly released interview, he mentions this oil spill guy's theory or whatever. He's like, in a newly released interview, he mentions how she had just gone through puberty, and now he had to deal with both her and her mom's PMSs. We spoke about that. Like what, and I haven't read most of these, to be honest with you. I read a small piece of it, but whatever, great minds think alike. It is what it is. Big shout out to H Sin with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. H Sin says, by hearing him talk about Maddie's menstrual cycles was just gross for women. We don't just share this sensitive details to anyone, not even with our father, unless we need him to buy the pads, but mom wasn't available. That's very true. I have an excellent relationship with my girls, and they don't walk around telling me, hey, I'm on my menstrual today. I heard from my youngest that she's on her menstrual because this was a milestone for her. She said, hey, I finally got my menstrual, Dad. And I was like, oh, congratulations. In the back of my head, I was like, you ain't going to be happy about it soon. But I was flattered that she trusted me and she loved me, and she, and that I'm the father that she could talk to. And that was awesome. So it actually touched me in my heart. But I haven't heard about it ever again. Because once again, this is something that women kind of just keep to themselves or in their circle. My oldest, she never tells me. I never know until I start seeing those things in the garbage. She's probably going to beat me up. Like, you talking about my menstrual, dude? That's weird, Dad. How dare you? But it's relevant to the show, okay? You don't hear about it. And only once in a blue moon, because mommy is usually on top of this. But once in a blue moon, it might be, hey, listen, can you buy some pads? But it's almost never now, because my mother buys them for the girls and for mommy, and mommy buys them herself, so I don't ever have to deal with it, and I don't ever hear about it. So good point, H. Sin. Appreciate you for the $20 super chat, for being so generous with the show. We do appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity. All right, let's keep going. Who casually chats about a young girl's puberty or menstrual cycle in the middle of a police interview? That's a fact. When she is missing and the whole city is looking for her. I think Stefan was so creepily and disgustingly obsessed with Maddie on a X level for so long that it didn't even register him how gross it was for an adult man to be talking about a teen girl like that. I agree. Let's keep going. I don't know if she was pregnant or not, but her puberty status was definitely at the forefront of Stefan's mind, because if he wanted to continue to grape her like he'd been doing for the past 4 or 5 years, the possibility of getting her pregnant would not be a serious risk if he would have to manage somehow. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I want to get to that part. This has been my theory from the start, especially since this wouldn't be the first time a child was murdered by their abuse turning into a pregnancy. And I'm going to show you an example of that. JR strikes me as someone who will do anything, says everything to get and keep a man. I suspect she was willfully ignorant to the abuse, evidenced by her statement that she didn't recognize the pictures shown to her. And that was big for me. When the police showed her pictures of his privates and pictures of Maddie, and she said, I didn't know who that was. And they had to show multiple pictures before she's finally like, yeah, that's him. Let's keep going. Yet she was visibly upset. Finding out she was pregnant would have made the situation all too real, leaving her no choice but to acknowledge it happened. Let's keep going. All right, so this is important. I believe she was under the impression she'd be keeping the baby, and due to ongoing sexual and emotional abuse, she was confused but still happy. I bet he sold her a fairy tale. Now we go back to the interview with the friend. The friend was saying that she said that she had a good relationship with Stefan Stearns and that they spoke often. She wouldn't go into details with the relationship, but she said that they were very close. And this is Maddie talking to her friend, and Maddie didn't have to say that. And a lot of people get confused and kind of get concerned when we talk about that, but they don't seem to understand how grooming and how trauma works. There is such a thing as trauma bonding with your abuser. There is such a thing as the Munchausen syndrome, if I'm saying it correctly. This happens. This is real. When you're groomed and indoctrinated into these diabolical situations from a young age, you learn to cope with them and in some instances accept them. Now, it's not true acceptance. It's a part of the trauma. It's a part of the abuse, but that's what the mind does to survive. If the mind is believing every day, oh my God, the most horrible thing is happening to me every single night by Stefan Stearns, that's how people delete themselves. But the mind says, well, you know what? Maybe this is right. Maybe I want this. Maybe this is good. Remember, something physical is happening to the person that is designed to be pleasurable. It is designed to be pleasurable. Somebody says Stockholm Syndrome. Absolutely. It is designed to be pleasurable, but it's being done in a diabolical way with an evil person. But if that is happening to you since a very young age, it often happens where the victim derives pleasure from the action. It doesn't make it right. It makes it even more sad, but it's a reality, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute reality. So please remember, abuse is very confusing. This is a really good point that this person is making. I gotta keep pushing this up, guys, because I need a new stand. It's not working. We gotta get some money first before we could get a new one. It's not always negative. She may have enjoyed the attention because she didn't get it otherwise. We know that she had a terrible relationship with her mother, and we know that her father wasn't really much in her life. We spoke about this. Strategic Eyes wasn't buying into the notion that this father was just this great guy who was misunderstood, and Jen Soto's trying to keep the child away from him. How is Jen Soto keeping the child away from you when she's at your house? But at the same time, you're saying you didn't have the money. At the same time, you're saying it's too expensive to go back and forth to Florida to fight for custody and stuff like that. So which one is it? Was Jen Soto keeping Maddie away from you, even though Maddie spoke to you often, even though Maddie would spend time at your house? Or did you not have the money? Which one is it? Then we also know that Maddie really didn't like her dad. Now that could have been the alienation. That could have been Jen Soto or Stephen Stearns putting that negativity into her head. I don't know. But without evidence, I can't take sides. But let's keep going. This is the one I wanted you guys to really hear from. This is the one that's big to me. This person who's deleted their name says, I'm speaking from experience as someone who was in her exact position. First of all, I'm so sorry that you were in this position. I'm so sorry you were in this position. And I don't know who you are, but I'm going to pray for you. I'm speaking from experience as someone who was in her exact position, pregnant by abuse at age 13. You are just ignorant about how complicated it feels. Let's keep going. I have seen this in many survivors having severe mixed emotions. One survivor lost many organs due to the abuse, carried their child, had to abort, but had feelings of abuse, feelings of being in love with them. Check that out. Had feelings of being in love with them. They knew it was wrong, but they were indeed confused. I am deeply sorry. You know this experience. I'm going to go over here real quick before I continue. Big shout out to Duncan Feloniez with a 10 Strategiceyes gift membership donation to 10 lucky people. So thank Duncan. Please do. Duncan. Thank Duncan. She's very kind and very generous. And now you get to enjoy the Strategiceyes show on a membership level. And when people give gift memberships, understand that they don't give the 99 cents tier. If it was a 99 cents tier, I would just work some overtime and drop $100 and give you guys 100 gift memberships to everybody. I'd be very generous. Okay. They give you the $3.99 tier. So the gift memberships are at a higher tier. There's no way of giving a cheaper membership as a gift. The gift membership is at a higher tier. So really do thank Duckin because she gave you a higher tier of membership. And that's very gracious and very, 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 very kind of her. And we thank you so much for doing that, Duckin. Let's keep going. And she said a really good comment. She says, no need for thanking, just pay it forward. And if people don't know what pay it forward means, it means that the same generosity that Duckin showed, if you can, only if you can, show the same generosity. Give gift memberships to somebody else. And that's very kind of you, Duckin. Let's keep going. The person says, thank you for your kind comment. I appreciate it. I had some positive feelings because I was young enough to believe we could get married on my 16th birthday like he promised and have a dream family. And that's so sad that this abuser was basically telling her that he was going to make her an honest woman. You're not being abused. You're not, something that I'm just using. I really care about you. I'm going to make you happy. I'm going to love you. I'm going to marry you. I'm going to give you a family. So sad. Also because of the attention. It was the first feelings of love I ever experienced. I was so neglected and abused in all the other areas with family that I became infatuated by my abuser. And nobody wants to hear this, but sex can feel good even when you are too young to understand or consent. And I'm going to tell you about that. And maybe some of the survivors in here, if they're strong enough or willing to talk about it, they could talk about it too. To understand or consent. People need to talk about this so few victims feel bad and guilty about it. I have spoke to victims who have orgasmed during their abuse. And the reason why I have the audacity to say those words is because it's not a real orgasm. It's not something that happens out of pleasure. It's a physical action that happens when stimulation occurs to certain organs. It doesn't mean that the person wanted it. Doesn't mean that the person enjoyed it. It means that the person was being violated in a personal place that is designed by nature, by God, to be a place of happiness, of pleasure, of expression, of love. And since this person is corrupting that area is just acting as designed. They don't have a choice in it. It's acting as designed. And it happened. And it's great shame that victims oftentimes feel for experiencing these physical actions. But don't you feel shame? Don't you dare feel shame. It is not your fault. It is not your fault. It is a physical action that occurs when certain things happen to certain organs in the body. You did not want it. You did not enjoy it. That monster did something horrible to you. There's nothing to be ashamed about. But people need to talk about these things, not just in this Maddie case, but just in general. We need to talk about these things so we start taking the shame away from the topic. So people can, number one, feel confident to come forward and get these bastards locked up. But number two, be able to heal without the shame. Let's keep going. Here's another person. Thanks for talking. I went through something similar. And I do believe as well that she was openly participating. We have no way of knowing that, but the videos and the evidence that the police have submitted in their descriptions allude to it. As painful as it may sound, it alludes to it, ladies and gentlemen. And what does it allude to? The open participation, but she started realizing something wasn't normal. I think I agree with this. I've been following her case and all the comments in the media, and it's really scary how almost no one knows how grooming works. I agree with that. That everyone believes that ex abuse have to be traumatic, painful, and forced. God bless you. Take care. It is most often not those last things when you are grooming a child from a very young age. You have indoctrinated them into this lifestyle. Let's keep going. And bring it back to me now. I want to play for you the Jonathan Quiles case. And then we're going to go to the call-in show. We're kind of on schedule with what we did last time. We went to the call-in show like around 1:45 mark, and then we brought it into like 2 hours and 30 minutes with the call-in show. So we're actually making good on time. We're making good on time, and I think we're good. Let's go ahead. Jonathan Quiles. Let's bring this numbskull in, this naughty, dirty boy. He's been sentenced. He's doing life in prison. He should be ashamed of himself. Let's keep going.
Court.
Let's do better on those likes, people. Hit those like button, please.
Are the verdicts are legally sufficient? I'm going to publish myself. Mr. Quiles, you may stand with your attorney. State of Florida versus Jonathan Quiles in 19 CF 7518, Division CRI, verdict as to sentence in count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant, Jonathan Quiles, in this case. A, aggravating factors. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has proven the following aggravating factors beyond a reasonable doubt as to defendant Jonathan Quiles in this case. 1, Jonathan Quiles was previously convicted of a capital felony or a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. Answer, no. 2, the first-degree murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest. Answer, yes. Number 3, the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Answer, no. 4, first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Answer, yes. 5, IS was particularly vulnerable because Jonathan Quiles stood in a position of familial or custodial authority over IS. Answer, yes. We, the jury, have unanimously found that the state has proved one or more aggravating factors. Each of us has considered whether one or more mitigating circumstances exist. Each of us has weighed whether the proven aggravating factors are sufficient and whether the proven aggravating factors outweigh any proven mitigating.
All right, so I just want to address a few things in the chat real quick. I know we're getting through this. I might just skip this to the article anyway, because they're just reading out the guilty verdict or whatever. I thought this was, I didn't, oftentimes when we're preparing for the show, I have so little time, ladies and gentlemen, so little time to prepare for the show. I'll just pick a video. I thought that what it would be, and it'd be something different. This is actually the actual guilty verdict. But to address the chat, there's a lot of people in the chat right now who are talking about their experience with SA. I want to tell you that I appreciate you trusting our show to talk about these things. I want to tell you that as a professional, I'm proud of you. I want to tell you that you're not a victim, that you are a survivor, and in many instances, some of you are warriors. I want to tell you that I pray for you and that I love you as a human being, a fellow human being, and that I am sorry that you had to experience this. But I want you also to know that you are not alone, that there are more people out there than you think, many of them, who for whatever reason never came forward. I'm not going to say they didn't have the courage to come forward. Those are inflammatory words. It is up to a survivor to determine whether they want to come forward or not. It is their choice. But there are many survivors who choose not to come forward. And you, at the very least, have come forward now. And that takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage, even to strangers, because even when you're typing the words in the chat, you feel the pain. I know you feel the pain. I've seen that pain. I don't know your pain, but I've seen your pain. So I want to tell you I'm proud of you. And I want to tell you thank you for trusting this show to be a safe place where you can express yourselves and not be denigrated with trolls. And I want to take the moment. I'm breaking up right now. I'm sorry. These are very emotional things. I don't know how people can talk about them and not feel some type of emotion. I want to take a moment. I want to thank the moderators, Aki and my other moderators, David, the other people who are out there working their butts off to keep this place a safe place. I want you to understand there's a lot of people who come in this chat who want nothing but to cause chaos. And a lot of times you don't see it because our moderators are so quick acting or so hardworking that they keep this a safe place for you to express yourself, for you to feel supported. So make sure you guys thank the moderators, because they are the life's blood of the show. I can't moderate and do the show at the same time. This show is emotionally and physically taxing to me. Sometimes when I'm done with this show after 2 hours, I feel like I'm 5 pounds lighter, and I'm already losing tons of weight. I can't lose much more unless I'll start looking like I'm sickly. So without these moderators, I don't know what we would do. So thank you, and make sure you thank the moderators for keeping this a safe place. Lastly, I want to give a big shout out to KB. That's just that person's initials, who sent me a very generous Cash App, and I do appreciate that. I saw my phone ring and I checked the Cash App, and it was very generous from KB. They did not tell me to read out their name, so I'm not reading it out, of course not. But thank you so much for the Cash App, supporting the channel. Like I told you guys, many of our shows are demonetized. So yes, it takes a lot of time and effort and money to run this show. And, when we first came on, we were like, oh no, don't donate if you don't want to, it's okay. And then we realized, what are we doing? We're hurting ourselves. It's a lot of time and money and investment to put on this show. And we need the help and we need the support. And if somebody's willing to give that support, we're going to graciously accept it and be happy with it. So for all the people who've dropped super chats, super stickers, whatever, thank you so much. For all the people who gave gift memberships, thank you so much. And for all the people like KB who are dropping Cash Apps, etc., thank you very much. You are appreciated. You are amazing. All right, let's get back into it. So I'm going to skip this video because all it's doing is just basically telling us, showing us the sentencing. This is the auntie. She failed this girl. I followed this story. This little girl was failed. She was sexually abused by every grown man in her community. And she thought it was consensual. She thought it was okay. She thought it was all right to be attracted to older men. And all these older men did was use and abuse her until she had relations with her uncle, another older man who chose to use and abuse her. I believe it was his step uncle. They were not related. It was her auntie's husband. Another grown man who decided that his desires, his needs was more important than the emotional stability and development of this little girl. He went too far. He got her pregnant. She found out she was pregnant. She told her family. Her family said, "Oh, this is great. You're pregnant. We're going to keep the kid." They weren't even upset, which is weird. I'd be upset. One of mine ended up pregnant at a young age. I'd be upset. I'd be disappointed. They were happy. They were happy. They were happy, but he was not. Because he knew once it came out that he was the father of the kid, he would go to jail and his wife would leave him. Now, here's the thing. He's spending life in prison where he has lost his wife anyway, and he lost his own life. If he would have just allowed this girl to live, two things would have happened. Either A, the family wouldn't have pressed charges on him. B, the family would have pressed charges on him. He would have got arrested for statutory rape. He would have did probably no more than 4 years in prison, if that. If he has no criminal record, maybe he would have gotten probation, and he would have been able to see the child that he had with her and live the rest of his life a free man. But now, because he chose to kill her, he spends the rest of his life in prison, and he lost the very family that he was concerned about losing because of the pregnancy. So let's read. 16-year-old pregnant, reportedly with her uncle's baby, and unknowingly in his murderous intentions, Ayanna Sawyer was killed, dumped in a trash bin, and eventually hauled away to a landfill, never to be found. They never found her body to this day. Never found her body. Big shout out to JPL with a $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Very generous of you. You are awesome. You are amazing. $20 super sticker. That's a lot of money. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's keep going. Thursday, jurors decided after about an hour of deliberations, there were plenty enough evidence in the 2018 Jacksonville case to convict 38-year-old Jonathan Quiles of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sexual battery. Monday, they were returned to the sentencing phase to determine if she should receive life in prison or the death penalty, the judge said. The state, under a 2023 bill signed into law, now grants a death sentence with a majority of 8 of the 12 jurors recommending execution as opposed to being unanimous. Quiles showed little reaction afterwards, similar to the previous 5 days of his trial. Sawyer, who witnessed testified, wanted to have the baby, was last seen December 19th that year at Terry Parker High School. The next month, police stated, massive search of the Otis Road landfill in Baldwin. They also arrested Quiles on a separate sexual battery charge on another family member before eventually indicting him in Sawyer's presumed death. So he had also sexually assaulted her sister. Like I told you guys, these little girls were not protected. What was his sentence? Well, before that, early in the trial, the prosecution quoted from an exchange between Quiles and his brother Joseph, who turned him in, as well as statements that his brother did an amazing job. His brother's the one who turned him in. His brother was instrumental in the apprehension of his brother, and his brother was instrumental in testifying against his brother. His brother's a true hero. It's not something we see too often, because usually families batten down the hatches and encircle their suspect loved one, and they don't cooperate. But this brother did the right thing. Let's keep going. As well as statements made on a recorded wire with another inmate. Times Union News First Coast News reports these excerpts as, the girl might be pregnant. I can't lose my family. If she has a baby, I have to get rid of the body. That's what he said. I have to get rid of the body. What was her name? Ayanna. She was 16. She was pregnant, 5 months. I talked my niece into running away, had her come to my job, Ace Picker Park on North Main Street. What's your job? The dumpsters at my job. I control what gets dumped. Did you kill her one day and dump her body the next? Yes. They're going to give me the needle. You hear this? You hear this? Damn. Did you shoot her? Did you shoot her in the head? No, not head, heart. This is the dude talking about this little girl who was failed by her whole community. It was a junkyard on Main Street where prosecutors said Quiles killed his pregnant niece and discarded her body. Prosecutors showed surveillance video there of him coming and going in a red minivan. He was also seen driving a front loader on the day Sawyer disappeared, as well as the day after, according to First Coast News. The news station reported that Gary Lindros, one of the men who runs the junkyard, testified Quiles drove into an area of the business that employees usually didn't go into. He did this at least twice in his own vehicle, according to video and prosecutors. Once the body was covered in debris in a dumpster and eventually transferred to the Otis Road landfill, investigators found items belonging to Sawyer, such as high school textbooks and undergarments. Jurors also heard from Quiles' wife at the time, Naomi Mobley, another person that failed her. First Coast News summarized her testimony as follows. She said she was initially defensive when her sisters suggested her husband of 5 years was interacting inappropriately with Sawyer. You heard that? What a freaking loser. She was defensive when her sisters told her that they believed that her husband was involved with the niece inappropriately. She was defensive. She did not believe it. This is why so many little girls get abused in this world, because of women like her. I don't care if she did everything she was supposed to do later. At that moment, she was defensive. Let's keep going. And might even be the father of her unborn baby. But Mobley gradually began to believe he was capable of killing the teen. She said when she made that realization, she began praying to God about why she was going to abandon her marriage vows. What? Let's keep moving. Everything in me at that moment let go, because from that moment on, I explained in my prayer that I could not stand by him still and look at myself in the mirror because I no longer believed him. She also recalled his behavior before and after the crime. Prior to that, he was fidgety, nervous, restless. After she went missing, then he slept like a baby. And I'm aware of this because I was very pregnant and I was up every hour of the hour to go to the bathroom as he slept like a baby. She was pregnant with his child at the same time that her niece was pregnant with his child. Unbelievable. Much of the defense's contention focused on how nothing can be proven because her body was never found. The defense called only 3 witnesses, and Quiles was not one of them. Very, 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 very sad. Okay. Let's bring it back to me, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I would like to open the lines to the call-in show. So the phone number for the call-in show has been pinned to the chat. So whatever platform you're watching on, you should be able to see that phone number. That phone number is 518-639-6283. Now, bring this over here. Sorry. Bring this here. My apologies. When you call in, your phone number will not be shown. Only your voice will be heard here on the Strategic Eyes Show live stream. Only your voice will be heard. You can call them, ask you your name. You do not have to give your real name, ladies and gentlemen. You can give a fake name. I ask you where you're calling from. You don't have to be honest about that either, but I'd like if you're honest about it so we can kind of get a gauge from where people are watching the show from. Just get a feel of the vastness of the reach of the Strategic Eyes Show. That's pretty awesome, I think. I would love for you guys to call in, talk about this case, talk about whether you think that Maddie was pregnant or not. Talk about something else if you want to. I'm not going to limit you to only this topic. Anything you want to talk about, we'll talk about within reason. If you ask me something personal about myself, I'm most likely not going to answer it for you. All right? We went through that with the last call. Somebody asked a very... Not a serious question, but, benign question, but it's something I was not willing to answer, and I answered in kind. I was not willing to answer that question. So, start calling in, people. Start calling in. I know it takes a little second for people to start going in. When it start going, the phone start ringing. Nobody wants to be the first person. Don't be shy. Call into the Strategic Eyes Show and let's talk about this, all right? While we're waiting for somebody to call in, I want to give you guys some statistics. And this is the American Journal of Preventive Medicine released data on rape-related pregnancies in the U.S. While I'm reading this out, please do call in. I'll stop and take your call. Between 2010 and 22, data from the National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey. The study first in 1996. Let me see. Almost 2.9 million women have experienced sex abuse-related pregnancies in their lifetime. 2.9 million women. 2.9 million women. Big shout out to Pray Every Day with a $4 super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We appreciate that super sticker and your support of the channel. But we need somebody to call in too. Call into the show. Come on, call in. Call into the show. Although multiracial black, I skipped something. Using the NVIS data set, the author found that 2.4% of almost 2.9 million U.S. women experience sex abuse related pregnancies. I was just trying to find a way to word it without saying the words. In fact, let me bring this up on the screen. Although multiracial, Black, Hispanic, American Indian, Alaskan women are disproportionately impacted by sexual violence, this study found that the lifetime prevalence rates were similar across racial and ethnic groups. So that's 2.8% of Hispanics, white non-Hispanic 2.2%, Black non-Hispanic 3%, and other non-Hispanic 2.4%. So it's kind of pretty even out there. Those that experience intimate partner sexual abuse are more likely to experience sexual abuse related pregnancies. So when you're sexually abused by an intimate partner or somebody you know, you're more likely going to also experience a pregnancy from it. Why? Well, I haven't read why. Maybe they'll tell us. Well, I haven't read that yet. We're going to read it together, but I would surmise. What's going on, caller? Let me just finish my statement real quick, and make sure that you put the video on mute or something so we don't get an echo. Like I'll say, audience, I would surmise that it's that case because the abuse happens often, multiple times. All right, so caller, how you doing? Welcome to the Strategic Eyes Show. Who are you? What is your name?
JPL from California.
JPL, what's happening? Was that Jet Propulsion Lab? Is that what you named yourself after? Or is that an acronym for your name?
That's an acronym for my name.
Okay, because you said California. I was like, isn't JPL in California?
I'm from California. That's right, Northern California.
Nice, nice. All right, well, JPL, thank you. First of all, thank you for supporting the channel, and I see you in the comment section showing that love, and we really do appreciate it. What do you want to talk about today, JPL?
Well, Madeline, just, I cannot imagine her everyday life and how her mother couldn't have seen any of the changes that were happening with her. So I believe that she's complicit. She definitely needs the cuffs. And I'm wondering if they do charge her, can they connect it with him, and charge her with more than just neglect?
Well, JPL, we'd have to have evidence that she knew that this was happening. That evidence.
They found the evidence. They found evidence.
Well, what
like
evidence?
A text message or some kind of,
Well, that hasn't come across my desk yet. Do you recall what those text messages said?
No, I'm just saying, for instance, if they did have some evidence that would connect to him,
so
what would be the charge?
Well, if they found evidence,
what would they charge her with?
It depends on what they found evidence of. If they found evidence proving that she knew about the sexual abuse, then she would be an accessory to that. if they found evidence, like if she's saying, you got to stop sleeping with Maddie because, she's getting older and she might tell on us. Well, now she's an accessory to that abuse, and she can be charged with that. She could be charged with trafficking, trafficking a child. It could turn into a federal case, really. Homeland Security loves those type of cases because she's basically pimping out her daughter. If there's evidence, if there's a text message where she's like, you went too far today and now we got to get rid of the body. Why did you do that to her? You should know better. Don't choke her too much. Now she's accessory to murder. And now she's getting charged with the same murder charge, first degree murder, that he's being charged with, and she's facing a death penalty. So first of all, there are people who are calling in. You can't get in until I finish with this call. So I want to hear from you. Just wait until the call ends and then call as fast as you can so that you can get in on the call. All right. So we're not ignoring you. We just don't have the technology to answer and put somebody on hold. I don't have that technology. So I apologize. All right. So yes, if they find text messages, audio recordings, letters, witnesses, or even confessions that Jen Soto is admitting or is tying her to these other charges, she can be charged. If not, then the only thing they really can charge her with is the negligence of being a parent and not protecting your daughter from, this abuse, which was her job.
Okay.
It's her job.
Right.
Got anything else?
Okay. Yeah. Can anything be done after 50 years without, if it's just two girls saying this guy did this to us? Can they go and look at this guy's, past and see if he's done it to other people after that?
So you're talking about like a hypothetical situation where a child is a victim of sexual abuse and 50 years later, she comes forward.
Yes.
Well, every state has different statute of limitations. In New York, prior to January of 2023 or 2024, one of the two, the statute of limitations was 8 years, which means that if you come forward after 8 years, nothing's going to happen. The police will tell you this is statute out and there's nothing that we can do. Now, there is no statute of limitations for child sexual abuse in New York State, which means that if you come forward, in New York at least, it would be investigated. But it will be investigated. That doesn't mean it's going to be proven. Because remember now, we have no evidence. Pretty much, unless there's some contemporaneous evidence. I don't want to say that we have. That's an inaccurate statement to say we have no evidence. We don't know. Each case is separate and unique, and there might be evidence. That child, that woman may have. All right, let's say it's a older brother or something, and let's say he moved. I'm giving a total hypothetical situation. Let's say he was living with the parents, and the parents passed away, and now they're selling that house, and now the sister is cleaning out the attic, and she finds videotapes of the brother abusing her when they were kids. And that triggers her like, oh, now I'm definitely going to come forward. I've been holding this in this entire time. I didn't want to destroy my family, but my mother and my father have now passed, so I don't have to worry about breaking their hearts with this. And I just found these tapes. Well, guess what? We got evidence now. So if that happened in New York State specifically, and that evidence was brought forward, that 65-year-old, 70-year-old brother can be criminally charged and prosecuted for rape in the first degree, for raping his little sister. Because there's conceivably, it's possible. It all falls up to the district attorney if they want to do it, but we'd have evidence. But let's say it's like there's no evidence, then there's still some investigative techniques that can happen. I can't say them here because then the bad guys will know what we do. It's the last thing that I want. But certainly very limited on what the police could do. But it probably could help in the healing process for the person, for them to come forward and at least speak about it and be heard and have that trauma come from the darkness into the light. All right. I appreciate you for calling, JPL.
Right on. Thanks so much. You are doing a great job.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Keep tuning in. Keep supporting the channel.
Have a good one.
We'll keep doing it. All right. Have a good one.
Will do. Bye-bye.
All right, who's next? That's a great call. Thank you so much, JPL, for your questions, your insight, and hopefully that hypothetical scenario that we spoke about might help somebody out there. But remember, every state has a different statute of limitations, so you should consider contacting your local law enforcement. And you don't even have to talk about your case. Just ask them, like, hey, what's the statute of limitations for XX crime, whatever crime you want to put in there, and then you'll know what you're working with, all right? Any other callers? I know a lot of people were trying to call in while I was on the call with JPL, but it's on the call with JPL, and I'm not going to rush her, and I'm not going to rush you either. So it'd be nice if you call now so we can hear from you, and we can definitely contribute to this amazing dialogue that we're doing. Until that happens, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the statistics that I've been reading. So those who experience intimate partner abuse are more likely to experience intimate partner abuse-related pregnancies. People who sexually offend are usually known to the victim. And in instances where sex abuse-related pregnancies were reported, 77.3% were current or former intimate partners. 13.9% were acquaintances, and 5.3% were strangers. So what does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? It tells you that you have more to fear from your own friends and family than you do from strangers. Isn't that crazy? Strangers have always been a rarity. You have more to fear of getting abused by your friend who's like, hey, let's go out and have drinks, and you've put him in a friendship zone, but he's told you time and time again that he likes you. And ladies, you got to be careful with that. I tell my female friends and my sisters and all that all the time, be careful with this. When you guys friendship zone dudes and they tell you how much they want you all the time, oh, I'm so attracted to you, we'd be a great couple, and you're like, no, I'm not interested, you're not my type, no. But you still go hang out with them, you still go drinking with them. Half the cases that come across my desk are those cases. You go out, you go drinking, and then the guy X abuses you when you're drunk and you're unable to consent, or at least consent in the way that you want to consent. Big shout out to Kelly Davis with a 1 gift membership to a lucky person. Let's go ahead and get the next call. What's going on, caller? Welcome to the Strategiceyes Show. Thank you for calling.
Hi, my name's Annette, and I live in California.
What's up, Annette? We're getting a lot of love from California. What part of California? Up north or south, central?
Desert. I'm in the high desert. I'm
All
an
right.
hour away from Las Vegas.
What about Palm Desert? Is that close by?
No, that's the opposite direction. That's going east.
I went to Palm Desert before, and it was so beautiful. And I remember I was a young kid, and we were on our tour bus. I used to sing when I was young. And we were on our tour bus, and we're driving. I don't know, maybe you'll know this, but this cliff, highway on a cliff. And we were watching the sunset over the Pacific. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it was just this highway, this cliff that we're on, and the whole world. Wow, I got to go there. I'm older. I got a goddamn job. I'm going to buy a plane ticket, and my destination will be that cliff for sunset. Anyway, welcome to the Strategiceyes Show. Thank you for calling and supporting the channel. What's your handle in the chat, by the way, if you want to say it?
Well, I was gifted a membership.
Okay.
And today I review it.
Okay. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, you were talking about my favorite subject, Maddie Soto.
Okay.
And my question is, I can't remember the name of the man, but the man that just got sentenced for killing his 3 kids.
Talking about, what's his
penalty?
douchebag's name? The Caucasian guy, right?
Yes.
Right.
Now, can that happen with Maddie Soto's case?
Can what happen exactly? Be very clear with me so I can give you a good answer.
Can Stephen get away without getting the death penalty and just get life in prison?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. So, for capital cases, the maximum penalties are life without parole or the death penalty. It's all up to a jury, and that man's name is Chad Dorman.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
So it is possible that a jury might look at the circumstances of the case, look at the prosecutor's case that they present, and say, we don't want to sentence him to death. We want to sentence him to life in prison. It's also possible that the family of Madeline Soto both on her father's side and on her mother's side, biological that is, could determine that justice to them is not death. Justice is life in prison, and they can put pressure on the prosecutor to decide to go with life. Another thing might be Stephen Stearns deciding to plead guilty. If he decides to plead guilty and it's going to save the taxpayers money and time, this prosecutor might decide, you know what, we could just take this guilty plea, and instead of spending millions of dollars to give somebody a death penalty, because the death penalty costs millions of dollars, you automatically are guaranteed appeals. And they always take their appeals. They don't just accept death. Very rarely do they. And they might just decide, you know what, let's just do life in prison. So they're choosing the capital case because they want everything on the table. But there's no guarantee that he'll actually get the death penalty, because he might get less due to a jury, which is his constitutional right, or he might get less due to making a deal with the prosecution. But I do not believe in this case, under any circumstances, that he will get anything less than life without parole. I don't think that Stephen Stearns will ever see the light of day as a free man again, unless, of course, Kim Kardashian's great-great-great-great-grandkids fight for him to get released like the Kardashians like to do. I'm just joking. Anything else for me?
Yes, I have two more and then I'm done.
Okay.
Since Stefan's mother was aware of what her son was able to do and she covered for him since he was young, can't she be blamed for allowing her son to continue doing and then paying for his mistakes so that way he wouldn't get in trouble?
It's a good question. Before I answer, I will give a big shout out to House Music, who gave me a 5 gift memberships for the Strategic Eyes Show. Thank you so much, House Music. And for the people in the chat, please make sure that you thank her or him for showing you that love. All right. To answer your question, the answer is legally no. All right. Morally, can we blame her and say, hey, listen, you helped create the monster? Absolutely. We could do that all day if we like. But legally, no. And for those instances that was covered by this channel and other channels where friends say that he did, salacious things like recording roommates' girlfriends and stuff like that, and those people got paid off. Those people were victims and chose money over justice. Now, I don't want to judge him, but he violated a female by recording her naked and doing God knows what with the footage. She chose to take a check instead of calling the cops. So look at it from this perspective. Who's more complicit? And I don't know the answer. This is just for you to think about and the audience to think about. Is the mother more complicit because she's trying to protect her son, not knowing the extent of how depraved his mind can be or will become, but just trying to protect her son? Or is the victim more complicit, who decides and said it flippantly during an interview, like, yeah, I took the money. Hell yeah, somebody offered me money, I'm taking the money. Who's more complicit? You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think morally she's wrong, but she's definitely not legally to be held accountable for anything Steffi Stearns did, because she had nothing to do with this abuse with Maddie. She had nothing to do with it whatsoever. What's your last one?
My last one is with the mother, and I don't care what anybody says, mom knew what was going on, but that was her way of keeping that man in her house, because that wasn't more, to me, that wasn't more important to her. That's how I look at it.
Mm. And so
can the mother,
mm-hmm.
can the mother be held responsible for being that way? Because there's no way that a mom cannot know what is going on with her daughter.
Mm. Now, when we get to once again assigning blame to Jen Soto, we on this channel, I tell you guys all the time, I'm biased against Jen Soto. I think she's guilty of at the very bare minimum negligence, but that's just my opinion. I'm just a talking head. When I leave here and I'm working, then I'm doing one thing. Here, I'm just a talking head saying my opinion. Well, guess what? In court, opinions don't matter. In court, it's about facts. And if they're going to say that Jen Soto had to know, is not good enough. Had to know is good for negligence when we're talking about child abuse and child neglect. You should have known that putting your daughter in a room with a stranger could have resulted in some abuse. You could make that argument in a child neglect charge. But when it comes to actually saying that she knew definitively that her daughter was being sexually abused, even though she was putting her daughter into a room that had a camera and a tripod and some lubrication, even though she was doing that, you still need facts that she knew. You need hard evidence that she knew. I'm going to let you go real quick. Oh, I thought there was another call coming in. But I hope that answered your question. I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate the support you give the channel. See you on the next one, all right?
Thank you for your show. Bye-bye.
Peace. All right. Next call. I thought we had a next call calling in. That's what, I spent a lot of time with that last call. I was like, all right, let me end it and go to the next call while that person was calling, but they hung up. So if you want to call back, it is free now for you to call. Please do call in and support the channel. I think you guys see that I don't bite. Just like the last show, we have good, mature, adult conversations. There's no reason to be shy. I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to crack jokes on you. What's going on, caller? Welcome to the Strategiceyes show. What's your name?
Hi, hello. My name is Sunshine.
I like that name, Sunshine. She's a flower child. Sunshine. Where you calling from, Sunshine?
You already know. I'm calling from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Wait.
New York.
Y'all see my face? When she said you already know, I was like, yo, she from New York.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Then she said the Boogie Down, and I helped my wallet. And I was like, okay, she's from the Boogie Down Bronx. What can I do for you? Please don't hurt me.
I just wanted to start, I just wanted to say I really like how you get really deep into your shows, and you really are the only few out there in the YouTube of true crime that do that, and I really like the details that you go into, and I know that you're real because you're a fellow New Yorker, and you already know that New Yorkers are the realest of the real, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. Very kind words, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You know, we're a small growing channel, and we need people like you vouching for us and showing us love and helping this channel grow. What you got for me on Maddie or anything else, whatever you want to talk about?
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to say, I don't know if people don't know out there, with kids, because we need to protect children. They're very innocent, and they're our future. So if we're sitting here abusing our children, just know that our future will not be great, because they're our leaders, our future leaders. And that just know, I want any mothers or anyone hearing, if you know that a child is sleeping with a man that's not their biological child, that's weird. You should look into it. It's very bizarre. No one should do this. I'm confused why people out there do this. And they don't supervise their kids anymore, and innocence can be taken very fast. Yeah. So it's very. I really hope people can continue to see the signs. If it was the biological dad, it would have been normal, because it's research shows that biological parents are less likely to sexually abuse their kids. And man, Maddie's story really breaks my heart, especially since they had a big condo. She could have had her own room. She's a teen. I never heard of a teen not having their own room. It's really weird.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. I mean, hold on 1 second. All right, I'm coming, son. All right, son, give me a second. I'm sorry, it's my son. All right, so yeah, I 100% agree with you. There's a lot about this case that was so weird, so just out of bounds. It just didn't make any sense. And specifically, one of them is the ability for Jen to allow her daughter at such an advanced age, especially, to be in the bed with this man. And it doesn't make sense at any age. So I would say the same thing, why are you allowing your daughter who's 8 years old to sleep with another man that's not her father? But then especially when this child starts going through puberty, why are they sleeping in the same bed? This is ridiculous. But your point that children are the future is so important. And I say that on this channel all the time. I say that children belong to all of us. They belong to all of us. They are the future. They are, absolutely. And so that's why when parents aren't acting up to snuff, when parents aren't meeting the bar, that's why our society gives the government the ability to go in there and take that child away from you. If the child was your sovereign property, then guess what? Government would never be able to say you're a bad parent, we're going to take your child away. No, you're the custodian of the child. You do the right thing, the child is yours forever. You do a bad thing, we're going to take the child because the children belong to all of us. And I really appreciate you giving that message and you putting that out there. And hopefully one day we'll understand why Jen Soto did the things that she did. Maybe we find it out in a trial. Maybe we find it out through an interview or a tell-all. I don't know. Maybe we never find it out. People tend to take these things to the grave. But it is a question that I want an answer to. And I really appreciate you for bringing that out there. Anything else before I let you go?
Yeah, I wanted to say it's sad that the world cares more about Maddie than any of her family actually does. And I wanted to say that it's really weird because when you look into it, I was watching a podcast from Don Ron. He's really good too. They really went deep into the accounts that they had, that Jen Soto had and Jennifer and Stefan had, and they had swinger accounts. So I'm not surprised. I really think that the mother was jealous of Maddie. Like, I feel like she was jealous, and Stefan played into that. And then, like, that's how they were, like, tag teaming Maddie. And then that's why she was coming to school depressed, because we could have saw the signs. She was coming to school crying. No little kid goes to school crying. They should be happy they're with their friends. That means something's going on in the house. And I really wish someone, like, she was going to counseling. I really wish somebody would have noticed the signs.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to say, I feel like Maddie's biological dad is guilty too, because he would sit there and comment. And he took pictures with Stefan Stearns and the ex-husband. Like, they all had, like, a little weird relationship going on. And that's inappropriate for a child to see. If you want to be into that thing, that's okay. But, like, you should, like, take that away from your children and not let them see that. And I really feel like she's trying to make Maddie feel like a bad guy. And I feel like you could even see when the police was interviewing Stefan, he would say, like, oh, she has ADHD, and then, like, she never had friends, she never visited friends. She felt like she could trust no one. She got no gifts for her birthday. Like, it's trying to say, like, you're trying to, like, build an image like she was a bad girl, but, like, she wasn't. Like, no kid is a bad kid. They can't be a bad kid. Something happened to her, she was holding it in, and she couldn't trust no one. She didn't tell no friends, no teacher, no counselor. And she used to go to counseling in school. And then when things got better, when he left, he came back and he knew. He knew that she was getting better, and he didn't want to see that. And then people think that it's a friendly mother illusion. And then a lot of mothers, they engage in sexual abuse. And I wouldn't be surprised that if she knew that he would do it and she let him do it because she didn't want him to do it with anyone else. Like, she didn't want to, like, because she had swinger accounts, but she wasn't really active on it. So I think she was probably like, oh, maybe if this is my daughter, he won't leave me.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But we'll figure it out. We'll find it out, all right? I got to let you go on this one. We got to get to another call because I'm beginning the show soon, all right? Appreciate you for coming through. Don't be a stranger. Like I said, people could call multiple times when we do live. So the next time we do a call-in, please make sure you call in and tell us your point of view, all right? Take it easy.
Thank you.
All right, peace. All right. She said some really interesting... Oh. All right, we're going to take a few more and then we can end it.
Hello?
Yes, we got a little bit of echo. See if we get the echo.
I'm lowering my TV.
No doubt. Sounds good. All right. Before you introduce yourself, let me just finish a point real quick from the last caller.
No problem.
Like, the last caller made a good point about the degeneracy of Stefan Stearns allegedly Jen Soto, because I didn't see the swinger account. So if anybody has that information, make sure you go ahead and send that over to me to Strategiceyes so I can take a look at that. We did, however, look at the BDSM accounts for Stefan Stearns. And I just want to say very quickly that once you get in, like, there's some people who might be watching this who are swingers and into that stuff. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm not trying to in any way say that you would violate a child or anything like that. But what I want to say is, once you start getting into these alternative lifestyles, it's a slippery slope. Some people can teeter on the top of that hill and never fall down and be perfectly healthy and happy. But it's very easy to slide down that slope. And these folks appear to be very damaged people to me. Stefan Stearns was a damaged person. Jen Soto is obviously a damaged person. And they started sliding down that slippery slope. Who knows how low they can go? Of course, it's all alleged because we don't have evidence of it. What's going on, caller? What's your name?
My name's Christina. I'm calling from Denver, Colorado.
Nice to meet you, Christine. Appreciate you for calling the show, showing that love. What you got for me?
Oh, I love your show very much. I was just calling to say I think everyone's going to be disappointed in the end because Jen's just going to get a slap on the hand if she even gets that. That's how I feel.
It's possible.
And
It's
I
definitely
feel,
possible. Go
yeah.
ahead. Mm-hmm.
And what kind of mother doesn't know? I mean, her daughter started getting, SA'd at what, 7, 8 years old?
Right.
Didn't she give her a bath? Didn't she wash her underwear, her sheets?
Mm.
I mean, no one can ever say this woman did not know.
Yeah.
She knew.
I agree. I
mean, she could notice the way she walked, the way she acted, her clothing, nothing. I think she was just hard up for the D.
Mm.
I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's how I feel about her.
Could have also just been companionship as well. It doesn't always have to be the D, which it very, very well could have been, but it could also have been companionship. Some people just don't like to be alone. I'm going to let you go now, though. I apologize for cutting you a little bit short. Everybody's going to be cut short simply because I want to get in a few more calls before I'm out of here. We're already at the 2 hours and 24-minute mark. I want to get out of here by 2:35, all right? So I'll see you on the next one. I appreciate you for calling, okay?
Have a blessed Sunday.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Next caller. What's going on, next caller? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Hey, how you doing? What's your name?
Trisha.
Trisha?
Yeah?
Nice to meet you.
Is this Strategic Eyes?
This is Strategic Eyes. Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to call and say that I give your mother 100%. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're good looking, you're awesome. Father, you're everything. Your mother must be an outstanding woman.
Wow, I really appreciate it. She's a very strong woman. She did a really good job raising all of her children under some very difficult circumstances. So definitely, thank you.
Listening to you, you're my favorite. Just listening to you and seeing you, you're incredible.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. So kind, Trisha. I really do appreciate the support that you're giving. You are amazing.
Yep.
All right, Trish, I'm going to let you go because remember, we're speeding through because we're about to end the show. I'm going to get this next call, okay, Chris? Please call in next time, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. So kind of her. That was so kind. What's going on, Strategic Eyes here? Put your TV or your video down.
You're my favorite. Just listening to you and seeing you, you're incredible.
She's on a delay.
You're so kind. So kind, Trisha.
We're on the next call. You're going to have to put the volume down. We're here.
I'll let you go because we're speeding through because we're about to end the show. I want to get this next call, okay, Chris?
Okay. That was a good call. I was talking to myself for a little bit. What's going on, guys? Two more calls. Two more calls and we're done. I had to short the last two people because I wanted to get more calls in. 2 more calls and then we'll call it a day. So if you want to call, this is the time. 2 more calls to speak to Strategic Eyes. It's the last opportunity. We'll take 2 more calls. Call in. I definitely want to hear from you guys. But I'm getting fatigued and we are at the 2 hours and 27-minute mark. Let's go to the chat real quick. And it's such a nice lady. I really do appreciate her showing love to my moms. We always forget about, you see adults here doing special things, surgeons, cops, mechanics, child caregivers, politicians, whatever. You see this adult doing things, YouTube presenters, and you forget that somebody made that person. That person didn't just make themselves. Welcome to the Strategic Eyes Show. What's going on?
Hi, Strategic. Good afternoon.
What's happening? What's your name?
The name is Iris, but you probably know me as New York City Baby Boomer.
Okay, the Baby Boomer. What's happening? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for supporting me.
And I happen to be from Harlem, New York as well.
Okay, cool. Whereabouts in Harlem? You don't have to give me like an exact area, but
sure. I'm on the west side next to CUNY.
Okay, I know
in that
exactly
area.
Where you at. Yeah, I know exactly where you at. That's close to my old stomping grounds, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, thank you. So it's nice to hear from a New Yorker. So what's happening? Baby Boomer, talk to me. What brings you to the show today?
All right. My thoughts are, and I'd like your feedback.
Mhm.
Do you think that the prosecution would hold back on releasing information about whether Maddie was in fact pregnant? One, because of course she's a minor or was a minor, God bless her, and because it could be sort of a trump card
Mhm.
for the prosecution to then bring that forth during the trial.
So, are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
All right, because you're talking like an attorney, because that's exactly what I think is happening. That's why I'm so adamant that I believe it's a possibility, because what that gives the prosecution is 2 capital murder cases. And since they're not currently prosecuting the murder, they're focusing on the ex assault. They don't have to bring that trump card out yet. They don't have to deal with anything related to the murder. You know, it's like everything that's coming out is related to the essay of this child. Because they're not working on the murder right now. Now, you know what? To be totally accurate.
And it sort of makes sense. It makes sense that you go with the essay first because that's pretty much been proven because of the evidence.
And it's a capital case too.
Move on. Right.
So
then to move on.
And as a prosecutor, you want as many bites at the apple as possible, because who determines capital murder, death penalty in Florida? If you don't know, it's a jury.
Okay.
The jury votes on it.
Absolutely.
And juries are insane. Juries are absolutely unpredictable. A jury will watch hours of unedited video of Stephen. Well, they will watch hours of unedited video of Stephen Stern's essay and Maddie, and there's a possibility one of those fools will say, I don't want to give him the death penalty. I don't believe in it.
Right.
I think in Florida now you have to do 8 out of 3 or something. You have to do 8 out of 12 or something now.
I would also imagine that if in fact Maddie was pregnant, that they would have done during the autopsy some kind of DNA examination, because they already have Stern's DNA to be able to prove in fact that this was his child.
Well, I can assure you that was done. But we're not entitled to receive it because of Florida law and her age. The only time we'll find that out is when they actually charge him, all of the charges are going to charge him with, and they bring it to trial.
Got it.
But this gives them 3 bites at the apple. The first one is death penalty for sex crimes, and then the next 2 are death penalty for murder. And as I read to you guys earlier in the show, Florida treats the infant or the unborn child as a separate entity to be charged separately.
Right. And I think about the Chris Watts case, Shanann being pregnant, and he got charged with the murder of his unborn child. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been in human resources for 40 years. So dealt with a lot of lawyers.
I hear you. Well, you're doing a good job, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. Keep supporting the channel.
Thank you. You're great. I love your perspective, New York City brother there. Keep doing a good job. We love you. It's a great show.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Who's going to close the show out with me? Last call. Last call. Who's going to close the show out with me? One more call, and then that's it. You get to be the last call. Last call. Who's going to close the show out with Strategic Eyes? We have one more caller before we close the show out. The number is 518-639-6283. I chose that 518 number as like a homage to when I worked for state corrections, and I used to go up to my office in Albany, New York. So I was like, oh, they got a 518 number. Let me take that. so yeah, definitely show that love. Who wants to close the case out with me? Today's case. Who want to close today's case out with me? before we get out of here. And if not, it's perfectly okay. Big shout out to everybody who's in the chat showing that love and contributing in the chat, showing love in the chat. Big shout out to everybody who sent us super stickers, super chats. Big shout out to all of the Strategic Eyes members who gave gift memberships. Let me see how many memberships we have. Stream, let's see here. Quite a few people. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. We have like 20 new members for this stream, which is awesome. 20 new members, man. That is such an awesome accomplishment. Appreciate you guys. So a lot of people showed love here, and I really do appreciate it. And I hope that you guys really are loving what we're doing here. We got the last caller. What's up, caller? Give me 1 second. Oh, I guess caller hung up. I don't know why they hung up. Makes me very sad you hung up. I was looking forward to talk to you, and I know who you are. I want to say big shout out to everybody who's supporting the channel. This channel has come very far, and I feel like we're a family, all right? And I'm going to tell you that is my hope and desire. Okay. Well, I'll save that speech for the end of this call here. What's going on, caller? How you doing? Welcome to the Strategic Eyes Show. You are the last caller, and we're going to be wrapping this up. Sounds like you're over there beating your phone up. Why are you beating the phone up?
Sorry, 1 second. Let me take my earbuds.
It's okay.
Sorry, can you hear me better?
I can hear you much better.
Okay, I'm so surprised I'm able to call you. Wow.
She's acting like we've got like 20 million subscribers. And like she really had to fight to get on the show.
I'm there every single time.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. What's going on? What's your name?
My name's Natalie.
And Natalie, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Canada, all the way from there, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man. I love the fact when we have an international audience. So whereabouts in Canada, if you don't mind me asking?
Ontario.
Okay, cool. I got to visit there. I've never visited Ontario before. So Natalie, from Ontario, from Canada, what do you got for me?
I really, truly believe that if she was not pregnant at the time, Stefan had every reason to believe that she was. I wish I could remember what video I saw it on. I don't know if it was on your channel or if it was on another true crime channel, but one of Madeline's friends had been interviewed and had been talking about how their cycles were around the same time, their menstrual cycles, and apparently she had been late. And I really think that her mother, Jen, knew, because every mom knows when her daughter is, starts getting in, a little bit more aggressive right before her cycle or this or that. And that in combination with, I'm all over the place because this case really, it's mind-boggling to me.
Right.
But when her mother was interviewed and shown the images of abuse that Stefan had created, she was like, oh no, they would never do that. As if her daughter was cheating with her boyfriend and not being abused and hurt and victimized by him.
Definitely an inappropriate response, but yeah.
Extraordinarily disgusting and repulsive, really. But I think that with that, there's not like any doubt in my mind that she had at least some inkling that he was being inappropriate with her daughter. That, or she was just so desperate to keep this man in her life that she was willing to turn a blind eye.
Right.
I think that maybe she realized that her daughter wasn't getting her period, because also a mom knows you buy your daughter tampons or pads, or you got to restock it. If you notice the stock isn't going lower, you notice your daughter's not getting her period, then, if 2 + 2 is 4 and 5 + 5 is 10, what is this? It doesn't make sense. And so I think that she may have mentioned it to Stefan and was like, hey, her period's late. But I also think that because of the time of the crime, it's possible that he, this is disgusting to say, I think that he, I don't know how to explain it, when he was abusing her, he used too much force or was particularly aggressive, because we also know about the kick stuff, the videoing, the sharing. It's so repulsive to think about. And I think that.
So you saying, are you saying like in too much force in terms of like choking her, or the actual act of intercourse? Because the actual act of intercourse is not going to cause a death. It could result in some internal injuries, but choking, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he was into that kind of stuff because he was on the BDSM website. So that's even more telling than the swingers website. Swingers are like, I like having sex with a lot of people. But when you get into the nitty gritty of the BDSM, he's into pain and pleasure type stuff. So I could definitely see that. I get it.
It's just, the biggest, I guess, most shocking part of the case is the mother's reaction. I feel like she had to know, because in that initial police conversation that they had with Jen and Stefan was there, she, like, when the principal called, she announced it. It was like she was comforting him, letting him know, hey, it's the principal that's calling. Letting, like, you know what I'm, like, you know, you've seen the video. It's very much so, like, they're not, it looks like they know, like she's speaking out loud and talking away to inform him, to, like, his sigh of relief.
Right.
You know, it's just, I feel like I don't see the prosecution, you know, going towards Jen in this, and it's upsetting.
Yeah.
But I really think that she knows more than she let on, and she's keeping tight-lipped.
Right.
And I think she had reason to believe that Madeline was pregnant. And I think that she just continues to protect him. And it's horrifying.
Right. I agree with you. We have to let you go, though, because I got to cut the show short. Well, not cut the show short. We've been doing this for a while. I'm getting tired, and my moderators have things to do. So, wow, this is a good chat. I want you to call back the next time we do a live show for a call-in, and let's explore this a little further. But certainly, I think you're onto something. All right. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for calling in. All right.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And we really do appreciate all the work that you do, because you've shed so much light on such important details and cases, and bringing attention to such horrific things.
I'm trying.
You know, you do so much.
I appreciate you. We'll talk. Peace.
All right.
All right. Sorry to cut that. My fault. I keep pressing the end button too quickly. I don't ever want to seem rude, like I just cut a person off. Like, you guys are amazing. So important to me. Okay. I just got a text from mommy. She says, get off and play with our son. That means it's time to go. That means it's time to get the hell up out of here. Guys, we had a really good show. I really appreciate you guys showing love. Okay. Everything we spoke about today was a theory. All right. It is what it is. All right. Don't take it personally. It's just a theory. We'll get to the facts eventually when the trial starts. It is what it is. Big shout out to everybody who supported the channel. Big shout out to everybody who's going to support the channel. Please consider becoming a Strategiceyes member. We do have affordable plans to become a member. Avail yourself of that. And lastly, I'll see you guys on the next one. But understand that what we do on this channel, we cover topics that have already been covered in many instances. I want you to understand we do deep dives here. So yes, other people have and continue to talk about Madeline Soto, and they do an excellent job of it. We're here on this channel. We do a deep dive, okay? We go deep into it, and we're trying to figure it out from a level of an investigator. Unfortunately, I can't take that call. I'm sorry, because the show is ending. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.